The holidays are here, and so is the IKEA winter sale. Now's your chance to make the holidays a little more magical and less expensive. Save up to 50% off on select items in-store and online now through January 7th. Plus, IKEA loyalty members get an extra 10% off on sale items. And if you spend $2.99 or more on a single order before December 10th, enjoy free delivery. Offer valid in the U.S. through 1/7 while supplies last. Selection may vary by store and online. See store and ikea-usa.com/winter sale for complete terms. Restrictions apply.
Today, we'll have Sarah's Thanksgiving Disney World trip. That's coming up on this episode 440 of WW Prep to Go. Hello, and welcome to WW Prep to Go, Retalk strategy and ideas for people planning their Disney World trips. And we have lots of trip reports. I am your host, Shannon Albert from WDWPrepSchool.com. Thank you for being here for episode 440. Today is another trip report, and we're back at Disney World with Sara and her family. And this one has a few different elements that are really interesting. One is they traveled over Thanksgiving, so obviously the crowd's related to that. It was also a split stay amongst 3 hotels, and she had a chance to try out the Premier Pass. So I'll have that for you in just a second. I always have the same intro at the top, but today I want to change it up and remind you that we have a website, a whole website where everything gets written up and documented, and pictures and graphics. The reason I'm bringing that up is I think that when you find somebody on one platform, you often don't hop over to the others. We find this trajectory with people that are podcast listeners becoming patrons and then asking a lot of questions that are answered on the website. And I realized, oh, they didn't find us through the website. They found us through the podcast. But the website is actually where we put most of our resources. We have multiple people writing on it every single day. So please be sure to go there to get answers to most of your Disney World questions. I also just published multiple articles about Vero Beach Resort. We have some Disneyland stuff, Disney Cruise stuff, all of that there. So be sure to check the website if you're looking for answers to some of your Disney World questions, or if you would like a written version of some of the topics that we discuss here. Without any further ado, here are my chats with Sara on her recent Disney World trip. Welcome to the podcast, Sara.
Hey, Shannon. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're talking on the evening of Thursday, November 21st. Where are you going?
We are going to Disney World, and we are going to be leaving in just 5 days on Tuesday, November 26th.
Okay, so you and I are leaving on the same days, but we are going different places. Okay. So you're going to be there over Thanksgiving. When does your trip end?
Yeah, so my trip ends officially on Tuesday, December 3rd. I say officially because we're kind of doing this in just 2 different legs of this trip. So my immediate family, my husband and my 2 boys, who are almost 7 and 3.5, we're going Tuesday to Tuesday. And then my mom, dad, and brother are joining us on Friday, and they will be there from Friday to Tuesday.
Your mom, dad, and who else?
My brother.
Brother are joining Friday?
Yes.
Okay, so they have a partial trip. You have a full week.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And you already told us that it's you and your 7-year-old and 3-year-old and your husband.
Correct.
And I'm going to guess this isn't your first trip?
This is not our first trip. No, my husband and my 2 boys and I go pretty frequently. We are annual pass holders, and so we do go about 2 to 3 times a year. And we've been doing that for the last 2.5 years or so, really since post-COVID. We started going back, and both of my boys love the parks. And so we have gone more frequently. It's a fun, easy trip for our family to take. But my parents don't go as often as we do. They probably go once every year or every other year. And my brother has not been there in over 10 years. So it's almost like a first trip for him because he has never seen any of Star Wars Land or Toy Story Land or really anything in Animal Kingdom. So he's really excited for all that stuff.
Okay. So you're going to have to show him the ropes.
Yeah.
Once he arrives on Friday. And where are you staying on this trip?
So this turned into a little bit of a conundrum for the whole trip. So our original plan and why we chose to go during this time was to really do as many of the Christmas events as we could. And when we were initially trying to plan the trip, it was going to be a shorter trip, and we were trying to stay at the Grand Floridian for the whole trip. When we do those trips, we usually try to book them through like a DVC rental. So we had done David's DVC rental, And we were having a really hard time getting the whole length of stay for us for the Grand Floridian. So my immediate family, we're going to be starting at the Boardwalk. So checking in at the Boardwalk on November 26th and then transferring over to Grand Floridian on November 30th. November 30th. Yeah. And then my parents and brother are staying at the Grand Floridian starting on the 29th. So they're going to just check in there and be there. And this is why I say it's like a little bit of a mess. We are going to come back. We are all going to fly back on Monday, December 2nd, right? December 2nd. Yes. But when we were looking at flights to fly back that day, they were outrageously expensive. And so we decided to stay an extra night. But we had already ended our trip at the Grand Floridian. So after Monday morning, we are going to move over to the Dolphin for one night.
Okay. Everyone's doing that?
Everyone's doing that, yes.
Okay. I understand. You had to piece it together.
We had to piece it together.
Okay. So how did that affect you when it came time to make dining reservations?
We had luckily planned all of that before we were doing dining, like before we had booked dining. So, but I was only able to book the first part of our trip initially. And then when it was 60 days out from my mom's trip, since she was since she was arriving a day earlier than our transfer, then I booked the rest of our reservations using her account for the rest of our trip.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And how are you all getting to Orlando?
Yeah, that's a great question. We are flying via Southwest. We live in Indianapolis. So there are direct flights from Indy to Orlando a couple of times a day. So we're taking one of those.
Okay. All right. And okay. So let's start walking through it then.
Yeah.
You are flying on Tuesday, November 26th on Southwest into Orlando. What time do you anticipate arriving?
Yeah, so we are trying to keep my older son is in first grade, so we're trying to keep him in school as much as we could. So his Thanksgiving break starts after school on Tuesday, so he'll get out of school and get home at 2:30, and we will leave right from there and drive to the airport, and our flight is at 5:20 p.m. And then we should arrive in Orlando at 8:00 p.m. that night.
Okay. Arrive at 8 p.m. And then how are you guys getting to the Boardwalk?
Yeah, we booked private transportation. We are using a service called VIP Luxury Transportation. The owner's name is Orlando Santiago, and we've used him before.
That name.
I know. I love it. We've used him before for a couple of trips and have been very pleased with his services. So,
okay. And then you will arrive at the Boardwalk. Is that going to be the end of the day pretty much? Because it'll be
probably
late?
Yeah, it'll probably be the end of the day. We will likely be getting a food delivery, probably through Shipt is what we usually use while we're down there. So trying to plan that up for around our arrival time, but then just checking in and going to bed.
Okay. All right. And are you staying in the villa section or the regular Boardwalk?
We're staying in the villa section. And for this, we actually were able to get a 1-bedroom villa for the prices where we were looking at just doing like a studio through the Disney rates. They were actually cheaper to do the 1-bedroom villa through David's DVC. So we are going to do that. And that's our first time doing anything more than a studio. So I'm really excited to see what that's.
Do you have expectations for making use of the kitchen for Thanksgiving by chance?
Good question. We thought about it, but we decided not to. So probably just using it for snacks and things. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we're on Wednesday, November 27th. What's the plan?
Yes. So our plan for this day is to go to Magic Kingdom. It is a park day, it is a party day. So it does end, the parks do close early and we are not doing the party that night. So hours are 8 to 6 and then we'll leave after that and go over to Disney Springs.
Do you remember when they didn't used to have Christmas parties Thanksgiving week?
That's what we were originally thinking, was that there wasn't going to be anything. And then we realized we were very mistaken. So
I think it's quite bold of them.
With
the busier crowds, but you're going to take advantage of the lower crowds during the day.
That's our plan. Yeah. That's our plan. We did book lightning lanes for that day, even with the lower crowds. My boys do not do well with waiting in lines. And we have just realized it's easier to buy the lightning lanes and try to do it that way as much as we can. This is actually my first trip, though, paying for all 4 of us to use lightning lanes, because my youngest son's first trip needing to pay. He just turned 3 in July and we haven't been since then. And so it was a little bit of a sticker shock doing it times 4 instead of times 3. So
this is your first time paying for all of you to use it. But
Yeah.
you've used this system before?
We have used this system before.
Okay. So that part is not new to you.
No.
But you have lightning lanes booked on this day. What are your kind of highlights or goals?
Yeah, trying it really just to try to get through as many of the rides that my boys want to go on as possible. We will just kind of take it as it comes and do the things that try to go in order as much as we can. I have an 8:45 lightning lane booked for Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. And then after that, we'll see what we're able to kind of start churning and moving around. I have a 9:45 Haunted Mansion and a 2:25 Tiana's.
Okay. Any dining reservations?
Not at Magic Kingdom that day, no.
Okay. What else on this day?
Yeah, so after Magic Kingdom, we'll probably leave somewhere between 4 and 6 is my guess, and then make our way over to Disney Springs. And we do have a 7 o'clock dinner reservation for T-Rex there. We've never been there before, but my 3-year-old really loves dinosaurs right now, so we figured we would give it a shot. I have heard not the greatest stuff about the food there, but we're going to go for the atmosphere.
You know what? Kids seem to love it.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
Any other things you'd like to do in Disney Springs?
May check out some of the Christmas trees. My older son really likes Legos, and so we will probably go to the Lego store as well. And then we may or may not hit up Gideon's, just depending on the line and what that looks like.
Okay.
The one thing that I thought was interesting about this day, though, when we were going to make our lightning lane reservations, and I don't really understand if there's going to be a closure or something, but Seven Dwarfs was actually unavailable to purchase for this day. And we booked our lightning lanes, the full 7 days out from the start of our trip, which was 8 days out from that. So I wouldn't think they would have sold out by that point because Tron would have still been available that day. So I don't know if they're planning on a closure or what's going to happen there, but that was just an interesting piece of information, I thought.
That is interesting. I wouldn't think they would plan a closure during a busy time, but hopefully you'll get to ride it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Are you ready to move on to Thursday?
Yes.
Which is
Thanksgiving. That's Thanksgiving. Yeah. So we are going to be doing Epcot this day. The park hours are 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock. We are planning on trying to do early entry that day. And our goal is to go in the back entrance and to rope drop Remy's is our plan during early entry.
How are you? Oh, and you're Boardwalk, so you can just walk over.
We're Boardwalk. Yep.
Okay. So Remy's is first. Do you have lightning lanes?
We do. We have the multi-pass lightning lanes for this day. And then we also got the single pass for Guardians of the Galaxy as well.
Okay. Got it. What else on your Epcot?
Yeah. So after we rope drop Remy's, our plan is to do breakfast at Garden Grill. We have a 9:05 breakfast booked for that day. And then our first lightning lane is a 10:30 Living with the Land. And then right after that, I'm hoping to grab a Soarin' so that we can just knock everything out in that building. And then we have the Seas with Nemo at 11:15 and 11:55 Frozen Ever After. And then our 12:15 Guardians of the Galaxy. So I was actually surprised that they were letting me overlap as much as they were. I was not anticipating that because we've gotten most of our lightning lanes within 30 to 45 minutes of each other.
Yeah, that is handy. I know that it's different than Genie Plus, so that is nice.
Yeah.
Do all of you ride all these rides? Like the 3-year-old probably can't do Guardians.
The 3-year-old will not do Guardians, but
So I want to talk about that because buying lightning lanes when not everybody's riding is a whole thing.
It is a whole thing. Yes. So I had to book all of our multi-pass lightning lanes for the trip first and then go back in and do the single pass lightning lanes for the individual rides that we were doing because we couldn't just do it all in one transaction for the day since the younger one wasn't going to be able to ride it.
Okay. It's important for people to know who have never used the system. You're going to have multiple transactions at a time. But people ask this all the time. What if we all have different, even with the multi-pass, it's like, well, the 3-year-old's probably not going to ride, things that are too much for him. So that's even a different booking process.
Exactly. I think I had a total of 11 different transactions for my lightning lane purchases. And I haven't even gotten my mom, dad, and brothers yet. I'm going to be logging in tomorrow morning to try to get theirs since a week out for them is tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. So 11 for you so far.
So far. Correct.
Okay. Got it. Okay. But let's talk about that too, because that's another thing people often wonder about. If we have a split party.
Yeah.
you're just going to try to match them the best you can?
That's my goal. I'm going to try to match up as close as we can to different things. I am willing to move things around if need be, but we're going to try to match up as best as we can.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you have talked us through your pre-booked lightning lanes at Epcot.
Yeah. And our plan is to kind of leave late morning, early afternoon after Guardians. I'm hoping to be ready to leave the park that day and just go back and swim and kind of hang out at the boardwalk. And then we have a dinner reservation planned for 5:50 p.m.
Where at?
At Topolino's Terrace.
Nice.
I've been there for breakfast. I've never been there for dinner. So I'm very excited for this. So we're not doing traditional Thanksgiving food, but I figured we'll do food that we want to do. And Garden Grill kind of has that homey feel that we figured can kind of scratch that Thanksgiving itch. So that's our plan.
I like that. It is a kind of traditional food.
Yeah.
But Topolino's is delicious for dinner as well. So that'll be a good food day. Anything else on Thursday?
No, probably just go back again, maybe take my older one to the pool and swim for a little bit, but planning to get to bed relatively early that day.
Okay. Thank you. Let's go on to the next day, which you've already told us is the day that your family arrives and they are going to go to Grand Floridian while you still have, I think, one more day at Boardwalk.
Correct. Yeah. So they're leaving Indianapolis really early in the morning. Their flight leaves at 5:50 in the morning and they'll get into Orlando at 8:15.
Okay.
And then they're planning on just using Uber or Lyft to go to the Grand Floridian.
I got it. And then what's everybody doing?
Yeah. So this day was the day that I was really struggling to kind of figure out the most with matching everybody up and expecting the parks to be really busy and really crazy. And so we are doing something that I said I would never do when it was announced because I didn't think it was going to be worth it. And then I thought maybe it was going to be worth it for today. And so I actually purchased the Premiere Pass for Hollywood Studios for myself, my husband, and my older son.
Okay.
And this kind of goes along with what you were asking before about the different rides and things. So,
okay. So you got the Premiere Pass for Hollywood Studios for the three of you.
Yes. And then tomorrow I'm going to be purchasing it for my brother. And then I will just be purchasing the Lightning Lane Multi-Pass for my younger son and my parents. Because they don't ride as many rides as the rest of us do. Like my younger son, the only rides he can go on in Hollywood Studios are Alien Swirling Saucers, Mickey and Minnie's, and Toy Story Mania. And then he likes a lot of the shows and things. And my mom and dad are not really big thrill rides. Neither one of them are going to do Rise of the Resistance or anything. My mom will do Tower of Terror. My dad will do Slinky Dog. And so when I was looking at everything, I was like, it's probably going to be easier, especially with them coming in a little bit later in the morning. I'm not sure exactly what time they'll get there. I don't really want to stress. And with this being my brother's first time at the park seeing a lot of these things, he is a really big Star Wars fan. He wanted to do all that stuff. And I was like, let's just figure out the easiest way to do it. So I don't know if it's going to be worth it. Honestly, I'm not sure, but I thought it was going to be the easiest way to do it for the day.
Yeah. Listen, I understand why you would be tempted to do it. It will make things a little bit less friction.
Yeah.
And you don't have to match up times with your brother.
No, we don't have to. That's the one thing. We don't have to worry about doing that. I booked like some pre-lightning lanes for my younger son, but because they're all like easier rides, I feel like I can move them around once we get in there if we like and figure out what time I get into the park and everything. So that's our plan.
Okay. I'm very curious to hear what you think.
I am very curious to see. I know. I literally told myself when they came out with this and I was looking at the prices, like, there's no way. I'm not going to do that. Like, why would anybody do that? And then I was thinking and I was talking to my husband. I was like, I don't know. This like kind of makes sense to do it. I don't know.
Well, and that's why all the trip reports are different because we want to hear all the perspectives and see when does it make sense. And this might be a perfect opportunity. Okay. So other than Hollywood Studios using a mix of regular Lightning Lanes and Premiere Pass. Do you have other things planned on this?
Yeah. So the other things we have planned for that day, we're going to be staying at Hollywood Studios the whole day. And so our plan is to like probably get there around 10:30 or 11, but we'll see what time my parents and brother end up getting in. But we have a 2:20 lunch reservation at Hollywood Brown Derby for the Fantasmic dining package. And that's going to be for the first showing. And when I looked earlier this week. It just came up with the show. So it looks like it's going to be a 7:30 p.m. time for that.
Okay.
And then we also have a 5:15 Oga's Cantina booked as well, just so my brother could experience that in Star Wars Land. So
I love that. You're being such a tour guide for him since he hasn't been in so long.
I know.
Okay. Well, you've already got a lot planned. Is there anything else?
Yes. No, my only other goal for that night is to try to do Slinky Dog later in the evening, after Fantasmic, because my older son Henry, he loves going on roller coasters while he could see fireworks. This is so funny, but his favorite thing to do at Magic Kingdom is to go on Big Thunder Mountain during the fireworks. And we've been at Hollywood Studios a couple times where they're doing the evening show at the stage at the Chinese Theater, and there are a couple fireworks that go off. And he just thinks it's so cool to be on a roller coaster with fireworks. So I'm going to see if there's any way I could pair that up.
That is adorable. It's too bad you can't do that at Animal Kingdom or Epcot.
I know.
Okay. Well, I'll cross my fingers for your timing to work out there.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you ready to move on to Saturday?
Yes.
All right. You're transferring to the Grand Floridian.
We're transferring to Grand Floridian. So I'm planning on using Bell Services for this and just having them take our luggage in the morning and taking our stuff over to the Grand Floridian. And then we will get on a bus and go over to Animal Kingdom.
Okay. And everyone's going?
So no, my immediate family is going, and then my mom and my brother are going to meet us there. My dad decided to sit out for Animal Kingdom. He's just going to stay back at the hotel and relax.
Okay. And are you using Lightning Lanes?
We are. So we booked an 8:05 Kilimanjaro Safaris, an 8:45 Dinosaur, an 11:35 Navi River Journey, and an 11:55 Avatar Flight of Passage. And I don't know if we're going to make it. If we could figure out Rope Drop, we might do that, just because Flight of Passage is my mom's all-time favorite ride, so that she would have an opportunity to go twice. But with the night before and with us transferring over and stuff, I'm just not sure if we're going to be able to get out that early.
That would be a lot.
Yeah.
Especially because Animal Kingdom is open so early.
Correct. And we have a late night planned for that night. So I'm thinking we'll probably just get there closer to somewhere in the 8 o'clock hour and start with Kilimanjaro Safaris.
Okay. So talk us through the rest of this day then.
Yeah. So in addition to our Lightning Lanes, we have a 10:05 Tusker House reservation booked. And actually, I have two reservations. I have a 10:05 and a 10:10 Tusker House, because my brother hasn't decided if he wants to do it yet. So I have one of them is booked for 4 people, and one of them is booked for 6 people. And I'm trying to figure out in the next day or so if he's going to do it, and then I'll cancel the other one.
Okay.
But after, our plan is to spend the morning into maybe around 1 o'clock or so at Animal Kingdom. I want to hit up the Lion King show if we're able to do that. And I'm interested in seeing how long the line is to see Santa Claus over in Dino Land, because we may knock Santa out that day if we can. And then our plan is hopefully to be leaving and going back to Grand Floridian around 1 o'clock, and hoping that our room is ready around that time.
Okay. And then what do you hope?
Yeah. And so then we're going to just be hanging out in the hotel for a bit. And then we have tickets for Jollywood Nights that evening. So this is where we kind of really hit our Christmas stuff, which was the whole goal of this trip. And so we're going to be going over to Hollywood Studios for Jollywood Nights.
Yeah. You know what your trip reminds me of is sometimes people want to catch Halloween party and Christmas party. So they'll do, obviously Halloween through early November.
Yeah.
But you're straddling the holiday stuff, because during your trip is when the Epcot stuff will open.
Exactly.
Which you obviously know. So you're straddling the holiday openings. Okay. So Jollywood Nights, who's going?
Yeah. So all 7 of us are going to this.
Okay. Everybody's going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's your goal?
Yeah, so I am really I have no plans on doing rides this night. If my brother wants to do that while we're doing characters or something, he might go and do that, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to really see all of the shows, probably doing the Pixar Disco dance party, because I think my boys will really like that. We want to see the Jingle Bell Jingle Bam, which is at 10 o'clock. I really want to check out the Twilight Soiree and just see what that's, and just kind of get snacks and things around the park. And then we have a couple of characters that I would like to try to see. So our priorities for that are going to be Bo Peep, Lotso, Joy, and Powerline Max.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So hoping we could try to get all of those in.
And are you dressing up or not?
We are actually, yeah. So we're going to try to do like fancy Christmas stuff for this. We'll see what the weather is going to actually be and see if it'll work out for us to wear it. But
Okay. Obviously, any way is fine, but it can kind of make for a fun night if you all agree to dress up.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Does that take us through the end of Saturday?
That takes us to the end of Saturday. Yes.
Okay. So then we have Sunday, December 1st.
Yes. So Sunday, December 1st, we are going to be going to Magic Kingdom during the day and really kind of be spending the whole day there because we also have Christmas party tickets for that night.
Okay. You guys are going all out.
We're going all out. Like really, this trip snowballed. It was really just supposed to be all the Christmas things, and then it snowballed into some other stuff. But I think it's going to be really fun.
I think you even your resorts are very Christmas.
Yes.
Like, lovely at Christmas.
Yeah.
Like it's really the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
we were there 2 years ago and stayed around Christmas time, not during Thanksgiving, like the first weekend in December. And we stayed at Wilderness Lodge and loved it and loved how pretty it was. And so we wanted to try these other resorts too around Christmas. So
I used to be kind of just meh on Boardwalk, but at Christmas, I feel like it's extra nice.
Yeah.
Very, very lovely. Okay. So you're starting and ending at Magic Kingdom, but for the first part of the day, what is your goals for Magic Kingdom?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if we'll rope drop and do early entry or not, just because we're going to be out so late the night before. And so I'm not sure how that's going to work. But we did get lightning lanes for this day. So I have some lightning lanes booked for the morning. I also have I was able to get Seven Dwarfs for this day. So it's open this day. So I have that booked for the afternoon. And I booked Tron for the afternoon for my husband and I. I'm going to try to get it for my brother tomorrow. We'll see if we can get it. I booked a 4:40 for Tron because my goal is to try to get there like 5:30, 5:40 and get there when it gets dark before things close for the Christmas party. But we'll see if that happens.
You're pushing it as far as you can.
I'm pushing as far as I can. Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's everything until the party.
Yeah. Well, ish. So I'm going to try to do really this morning, since we've already going to been at Magic Kingdom another day on this trip. I'll just kind of see what my brother wants to do, what my mom and dad want to do. I don't have set hard plans for which rides we have to get in. It'll really just be like what we're able to do. I have a dining reservation that I completely forgot about until I was going through our pre-trip stuff. And so we have a 3:45 Ohana reservation.
Might be a nice afternoon break.
So I think it'll be a good afternoon break. So we'll be leaving at some point, going plus or minus back to Grand Floridian for a little bit, going over to the Polynesian, doing Ohana, and then hoping to get back into the park by that 5:30, 5:40 for Tron.
Okay. Back to Magic Kingdom. And then after Tron, you can get your party bands on.
Right. Yeah. Or I think we might be able to get them as we're going in, right? I think.
Yeah. If you come back, as long as it's after 4, which of course it would be.
Yeah. So that'll be our plan. And then we'll do get ready for the Christmas party.
Okay. And everybody's doing the Christmas party as well?
Everybody's doing the Christmas party. Yes.
Okay. So then what is your main goals for the Christmas party?
Yeah. Main goals, definitely the fireworks and the parade for sure. I am going back and forth on which parade we're going to do. I really want to try to do the second. I'm just going to see if I think my boys will stay up that late or not. I know the older one will. I'm more nervous about my younger son, so we'll see. Because I just feel like we'll have better luck getting some other stuff done during the first parade.
Speaking of, do you use a stroller for your boys?
We do. At home, we don't. Neither one of them will be in it. But for Disney, we do take a double stroller.
Okay. So does a 3-year-old fall asleep in a stroller?
Not really.
No, it's
not usually. If he's
really,
really tired, he will. But on a regular basis, he wouldn't.
Okay. So you'll have it. And if he falls asleep, maybe that'll extend your time at the party?
Right. So my plan is to try to do the second parade. We'll see. We'll see how the night is going. The parade and fireworks are definitely the priorities. And then as far as the characters that we would like to try to do, if we can, are Mirabelle and Bruno, the Winnie the Pooh characters in their Christmas attire, and then Minnie, Donald, Daisy, and Scrooge McDuck I think they're over in Fantasyland for that. Mm-hmm. I have plus or minus Santa. I don't really want to try to do Santa on this night because I feel like there's going to be a lot going on. And if we can see him at Animal Kingdom earlier in the trip, then I'm not going to worry about it for this. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we need to see Santa at least one time while we're here. And then the rides that I want to do are the ones with the overlay. So Space Mountain, Tomorrowland Speedway, and the People Mover.
I love that you're including the People Mover.
Yeah. You get to drive through all the stuff. I think it's fun. So
no, I think it should be included. That's why I always mention it. But Disney doesn't officially include it on their list. But I'm like, you get to see so much.
Yeah. We won't do I don't think we'll do the teacups. I don't think we're going to wait for that. But
you can see from the outside exactly what's happening. Yeah. It's just different music. So, okay. All right. So anything else on this night?
No, that'll be it.
Okay. And then you have one more full day and you're also all moving to the Dolphin.
We're all moving to the Dolphin. Yes. So our park for that day is going to be Epcot. And so I think what we're going to try to do is have the majority of the party take the monorail from Grand Floridian over to Epcot. And then for me, plus or minus my mom, like we probably need 2 people to take. I'm going to try to get a minivan and take our bags over to the Dolphin at that point. But I don't think it makes sense for all of us to trek over there.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll be splitting up, but eventually everybody will end up at Epcot.
Yeah. Because we can't, the Dolphin, we can't do the Bell Services transfer there, correct?
I think you can.
Oh, we can? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If I can, then that's going to change my whole plan then.
Okay. When we get done recording, I'm going to verify it.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody's going to Epcot that day. What are your plans?
So we have some lightning lanes booked, but I may change around times and things for this. I'm just going to be flexible with this day about what lightning lanes we get on. But our priority for this night is Candlelight Processional. And so we did book a dining package for this. So we are doing the Le Cellier lunch, which will get us a 5 o'clock show. When I was making reservations, I couldn't get a party of 7. So I have a reservation for 4 people and a reservation for 3 people within 5 minutes of each other. And we'll just see if they could sit us together. And if not, we'll sit separately. It's not a big deal.
Okay, got it. And who's your narrator?
Our narrator is Nico Santos for this one.
Okay. Okay, other than that lunch, what else are you thinking?
That's like the only plan that we have along with the Candlelight Processional. We'll do a lot of just like the walking around, seeing the different things in Epcot because everything should be fully decorated by that point. This was another weird thing, though, that came up with the lightning lanes. On this day, when I was making my lightning lane reservations, it said that Living with the Land was unavailable to pre-book. And so I'm going to be disappointed if that's not available to see with the or with the Christmas overlay, but
it will. It's already decorated. They just haven't turned the lights on yet.
Yeah, so I just don't know why it was saying it was unavailable that day. So
no, that's super strange. I'm just going to expect that you will get to do the holiday overlay.
And then I'm also hoping to do I think they usually have a scavenger hunt around Christmas too. So both of my boys like doing the scavenger hunts through the countries. And so we'll do that so they can be entertained while we do the different food booths and things.
So you are doing food booths?
Around in the evening is kind of our plan. After the Candlelight Processional, since that's at 5 o'clock, our plan for dinner will be doing some of the food booths.
Okay, fun. All right, anything else?
No, nothing planned. There are extended evening hours that night. And so I don't know if we are going to utilize them or not. We have so much going on. I think we may all just be completely exhausted. But we'll see. I guess if we weren't able to get on some of the Remy's or Guardians or something, then maybe we'll do that. So
I wonder about your brother being interested in that.
He might stay late. So he might stay with either me or my husband or something.
Yeah, that might be fun. Okay. And then the next day is Tuesday, December 3rd, which you're leaving.
And then we're leaving. We have no plans. No. So my immediate family, we are getting picked up using the same transportation at 8:30 in the morning. And we have an 11:10 flight that will get in at 1:35. And my mom went to book her flights right after I booked mine, and they had jumped up in price, like double the price for the same flight that we were on. And so she's flying back at 3:15. So my mom, dad, and brother will leave at 3:15 and get in at 5:40.
That's a bummer, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So they may do something around like the boardwalk area or something in the morning before they have to leave, but we won't do anything since we're leaving so much earlier.
Okay. That makes sense. This is a jam-packed holiday trip.
It is a jam-packed holiday trip. I know. I wish we could have like flipped things around and done the really busy stuff in the beginning and kind of rested and went easier in the afternoon. But it is what it is. It's going to be fun.
I think it sounds fantastic. Okay, so this sounds fun. I hope you guys have the best Thanksgiving and trip together.
Thank
and
you.
I'll talk to you in early December.
Sounds good. Thank you.
People thought it was impossible to build a firm, lifted booty and flatten and shrink your abs at the same time. But we've cracked the code. I'm Carl, the CEO of Body. That's Body with an I. And if you want to lose weight while you build a firm, round booty and flat, tight abs, even that lower pooch, you need to start the 80-Day Obsession Fitness and Eating Program on Monday. 80 workouts shot in real time. It's like you're training with the cast as they make progress day by day. Crazy booty gains, flat, tight abs. We tested it, improved it, and now it's your turn. There's no subscription needed. You can get this in-home program for less than $1 a workout and own permanent digital access. But here's the thing. We're inviting you to get 80-Day Obsession by Friday so you can start on Monday. And if you don't see results in your butt and abs in the first 30 days, you get your money back, no questions asked. So get 80-Day Obsession by Friday so you can start on Monday. Go to 80dayobsession.com. That's 80dayobsession.com.
Attention parents and grandparents. Are you searching for the perfect gift for your kids this holiday season? Give the gift of adventure that will last all year long. A Guardian bike. The easiest, safest, and quickest bikes for kids to learn on. Kids are learning to ride in just one day. No training wheels needed. What makes Guardian bikes special? They're the easiest to ride thanks to the thoughtful engineering, lightweight frames, and kid-friendly components. Kids love how fun and easy they are to ride. And parents appreciate the safety features, like the patented braking system that prevents head-over handlebar accidents. Guardian bikes are the only kids' bikes designed and assembled in a USA factory, ensuring top-notch quality and durability. They're built to last and make perfect hand-me-downs. Make holiday gifting stress-free with Guardian bikes. With guaranteed 1 to 2 day shipping for just $29, you can trust your gift will arrive in time to create magical memories this holiday season. Plus, sign up for their newsletter to receive a free bike log and pup with your first purchase, the perfect stocking stuffer for any kid on your list. Visit guardianbikes.com to secure the ultimate holiday gift today. Happy riding!
Welcome back from your trip, Sarah.
Thanks, Shannon.
You and I are talking on Tuesday, December 10th, so you've been back about a week.
Yes.
How was it overall?
It was great. We had a fantastic time. There were things that I would definitely do again. There were things that I would do differently, but it was a really good trip overall.
Okay. I cannot wait to hear what those are. And let's start walking through it because you told us on Tuesday, November 26th, you were leaving after school.
Yes.
And arriving in the evening.
Yeah. So at first, things like were going fine. My older son is in first grade, and so he got off the bus right around 2:45. That was the end of his school before Thanksgiving. Got off the bus at 2:45. We had been packing all day, so we're ready to just kind of get him in the car. We left the house at 2:55 and then picked up our other son from daycare and headed to the airport. Now, we only live about 25, 30 minutes from the airport, and typically, it's not hard to get through our airport at all. It's really easy. But there was an accident on the highway. There was no way to revert ourselves. So we were planning to be at the airport at 3:30. We didn't end up getting to the airport until 4:05. And we were flying with
quite a delay, isn't it?
It was quite a delay. And then Southwest usually has a curbside pet check-in while we're there, but that wasn't open that day. So we had to go park, lug all of our luggage in, check it all in. So we were a little bit more delayed than we wanted to be. But we got our bags checked in by 4:30, and it's really easy to get through TSA at our airport. We're TSA pre-check also. So we got to our gate at 4:50, and then the plane started boarding at 5:10. So a little bit quicker than I would have wanted it to be, but it all worked out. It was fine.
This is exactly why running early is nice, though, because when you have delays, it doesn't totally throw you off. It doesn't make you miss your flight.
Right.
Ideally.
Yeah. So luckily, it all worked out okay. We were okay.
It did. Okay. And then did the kids fall asleep on the flight to Florida?
They didn't. No, they
didn't.
They did not. They were both like we used tablet time sparingly, and they were both on their tablets during the flight because I thought it was really fun to do that. So that worked out okay. I actually paid for the Wi-Fi on my flight, which I don't typically do, but I paid for it because our Shipt shopper was going to be working like while we were in the air, and I wanted to make sure I can answer questions. So she was texting me while we were about 45 minutes out from landing just to make sure we were getting all of our stuff. But we did great. We landed about 20 minutes early at 7:40 and taxied until about 7:50. We were getting pickup there. So they actually texted us that we had to stop and use the restroom. And my youngest son was hangry. So stopped at the McDonald's in the Terminal B of MCO. And so got all that and got over to our baggage claim at 8:25. And our driver was waiting there for us. He was great. Didn't mind that we were a little bit late getting off and everything. Helped us get all of our bags together. Went out to the car, and we were at the boardwalk pulling in right at 9 o'clock, right as fireworks were going off. So it actually was not too bad from the time we got off, still stopping for food, getting all of our bags, and getting to the boardwalk was not bad at all.
Okay. Yeah, that isn't too bad. And the fireworks were there to welcome you.
Fireworks were there to welcome. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
nice. And then you checked into your 1-bedroom villa.
Yeah. It was beautiful. We've rented DVC points before, and we've typically stayed in studios. This time was our first time staying in 1-bedroom, and it was one of the renovated ones, and it was gorgeous. It worked out really nicely.
And your food delivery from Shipt was this night as well?
Yes. So it was there waiting for us at the hotel. We were just, Bell Services brought it to us along with our bags, and so it was no problem.
Okay. And was that the end of that day?
Yeah, that was the end. We got everything to our room. We unpacked. The boys were in bed by 10:15, and we were in bed by 11:30, ready for our next day.
Yes. And your next day was Wednesday, November 27th, which you had planned for Magic Kingdom.
Yes. So we planned for Magic Kingdom that day. Overnight, my older son did not sleep well, and so he was up, ready, and ready to go at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't want him to wake up our younger son, so we just had him come in the room with us. So my husband and I were up since 4 o'clock in the morning, and we just could not get him to go back to sleep. He was excited. And so we were like, okay, we're going to go and try to get there as early as we can then, since everybody's up anyway. So we got our younger son up at 6:30. We had ordered coffee pickup ready for the Boardwalk Deli for when it opened at 7. So went right down there at 7, got our coffee, and then walked to the bus to go to Magic Kingdom. So we got to the bus at 7:22, and the bus came at 7:27. So not a long wait at all. And then we were at Magic Kingdom by 7:51. So even with the early morning, we didn't get there for early entry because early entry would have been there at 7:30. But we were planning on kind of a full day, so we were fine being there kind of right as park was opening.
You did have some lightning lanes booked?
Yes. So our very first lightning lane wasn't until 8:45, which was Winnie the Pooh. And that day, Shannon, it was crowded. So I was like getting on, trying to see if I could modify it a little bit earlier. I've had luck with that in the past. And at that point, even before the park was opening, all of the Winnie the Pooh lightning lanes were gone for the day. All of Jingle Cruise were gone. All of Tiana was gone. So there was already a lot of things that were kind of limited that I actually did not see come back online much at all during the day either. Typically, like what I like to try to do is try to scan in and start churning lightning lanes or doing different things. But we decided that we are going to just knock out a bunch of like really easy rides in Fantasyland. So we didn't we could have gone over and rope dropped Pirates or done something else. But what we decided to do is just go right over to Fantasyland. So we got through security at 8:01. We walked over to Fantasyland. We got to Teacups at 8:04. It was a posted 5-minute wait, but was a walk-on. Then went over to Dumbo, got there at 8:15. Again, a posted 5-minute wait and was a walk-on. We walked on to Barnstormer at 8:24, a posted 5-minute wait and was a walk-on. And then did Under the Sea with Little Mermaid. Again, posted 5-minute wait, got there at 8:32 and was a walk-on. So we got 4 rides done before our first lightning lane. And they're not hard ones to do, but we were like, let's just knock these out and be done. And so I think that actually worked out pretty well for us and our family because my younger son was a little bit kind of hesitated about some of the rides, which I was not expecting because his last trip, he loved all of the rides. But this one, I think it was a good flow to get him into some of the easier things for the day.
So then what was your first lightning lane?
Our first lightning lane was Winnie the Pooh at 8:45. Okay. So we tapped in for that at 8:46. At that point, it was just a posted 25-minute wait. So that wasn't terrible. That was actually the lowest line that I saw for it all day. We ended up waiting in line for 6 minutes. And then after we tapped into that, we booked Peter Pan. We got it for 3:40 to 4:40. And again, I was hoping to try to see if I could modify it to earlier. But as I was looking, within 5 minutes, Peter Pan then sold out for the day. And I never saw it come back up either. So definitely feeling the holiday crowds. And this was another day where the premiere pass for Magic Kingdom, I think, had actually sold out too. So I was wondering, like, maybe they were limiting the release of other lightning lanes and stuff. I don't know. This is just like a theory I have. But for the first couple of days of the trip, I thought it was definitely harder to get lightning lanes than I've seen in the past.
Yeah. It makes me think something like Standby Skipper is super helpful in this case,
I agree. We opted not to do it this time because there wasn't anything that we felt like really strongly we had to do. But I think in the future, I would, and if I was going at a busy time, I would definitely utilize that.
Yeah. I think for anyone listening who is going through a busy time, that would be a possible solution in case they did pop up randomly.
Right.
But it is unfortunate that things were sold out because then you really can't get as much value out of your lightning lanes.
Right. So then at that point, we did, after we got off Winnie the Pooh, we walked over to the Rapunzel bathrooms and used those, and then got on Small World. Again, just a posted 5-minute wait, which was a walk-on. And then 9:26 went on to the carousel, which was a 5-minute wait and was a walk-on. We were kind of killing time until our next lightning lane, which was Haunted Mansion for 9:45. So then we got our stroller, got some water and snacks, and then walked over to Haunted Mansion. This one, we got in at 9:45, tapped in at had a light lane for 9:45, tapped in at 9:40. It was a posted 40-minute wait at that time, and also all of the lightning lanes were gone at that point too for Haunted Mansion. I just, like, even though we had it, I just found it interesting to just see, like, they were still all gone too. So at that point, we wanted to try to see if we could get Jingle Cruise, but that was, again, all sold out. And so we ended up booking Big Thunder after we tapped into that. We got it for later in the afternoon, initially for 4:25 to 5:25. But while I was in line just for the 5 minutes, we were able to modify that up to the morning. So that was like the one time where it worked out pretty nicely and got that up to 10:40 to 11:40. While we were in Haunted Mansion, it was the ride, I think, broke down for a period of time. And so we were in the waiting room, or the stretching room, for a little bit longer than I had expected. But it was actually cool because the room reset. So I was able to see exactly how the stretching room works, which I had a feeling that was what it was doing, but, like, never know for sure. So that was just kind of cool to see. I didn't mind that.
That is fun. That would be a fun place to get stuck.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. And, like, people were not, like, going crazy, and our room was not super packed with people either. So it wasn't, because I could definitely imagine it being claustrophobic too. But
yes.
Yeah.
But that's fun. I've never heard of anyone getting stuck there, but that's interesting.
Yeah. It was, of all the places that you could do it, it was not a bad one. So then when we got off there, we decided that we had our next lightning lanes were for the Big Thunder Mountain, and we had a Tiana's coming up. So what we decided to do at that point was to just kind of, the wait times for Pirates and Jingle Cruise were relatively low. So we walked over there and decided to just do those standby. So at 10:08, we got in line at Pirates and we're on the ride by 10:14. It was a posted 10-minute wait, so we just waited 6 minutes. And then after that, when we got off Pirates, we got some popcorn from the popcorn cart, like right outside of Jingle Cruise. And at that point, it was posting a 35-minute wait for Jingle Cruise, which I thought was not bad. And also the line did not look very long. So we decided just to hop in that. And it actually only ended up being 13 minutes. So I would say that was, like, a huge win for us. So I was really happy with that.
Yeah, because that's so popular during the holidays.
Yeah. It was really fun. Our skipper was great. My boys, like, really loved the backside of water, and we're yelling that out. I think we were the only ones on the boat who, like, knew that joke. And so, like, we were yelling and everyone just kind of looked at us. But I was like, you have to do it. I think it's fine.
But that speaks to the holiday crowds being different.
Yeah.
Because
no, it's very true.
Other times a year, you'd have the whole boat with you.
Yeah. No, it's very true. And we could definitely say there were a lot of people, like, I heard people just in lines, like, asking, like, what the lightning lane even was. And I was like, oh boy, you're going to have such a trip if you don't know this. But I mean, the information's out there. I guess, like, it's okay to be prepared. But yeah. So then after that, we walked over to Big Thunder Mountain. My younger son isn't tall enough to ride that ride. So we were planning on rider swapping, but then we kind of just thought, like, I don't need to go on that ride that time. We were going to go back another day. So we just decided just to have the two of them do it. So I then canceled my lightning lane and booked all of us lightning lanes for Buzz Lightyear for later on that afternoon.
So people ask this question a lot. If somebody opts not to go, but the first two tap in, how does that handle? But I assume you just let them tap in, and then you booked all of you. I let them tap in. I just ended up booking for everybody every time I would book a lightning lane. And then whoever would go. And then I would just cancel the other people who decided not to go on it and then rebook for everybody.
I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but that worked for us.
I assume that's the way to do it.
Yeah. At that point, we walked over, while we were waiting for them, we walked over to the Golden Outpost to try the beignets. And I didn't like them. I didn't like them as much as like the ones at Port Orleans. Like they just felt, they were so hollow inside. They didn't have a lot of flavor. I was kind of disappointed by it.
When we rode Tiana's, we left Magic Kingdom and took a bus to French Quarter just to get the good beignets.
That's a great idea. I wish I had done that because I had heard they weren't great, but I was like, well, we'll try it. But it was so disappointing.
I know, but you'd think they already know the recipe.
Right.
Can you just bring it over?
It can't be that hard.
They're delicious.
Yeah. So after that, Marty and my older son had gotten off the ride at 11:20. So then we walked over and did Country Bears Jamboree, did the 11:30 show, and everyone really enjoyed it. So that was fun. And then after that, we were starting to get a little bit hungry. So my husband waited in the line for the egg roll cart for he and I did a mobile order for Casey's Corner for the boys. And this is another time when I think the mobile orders were not a problem. There were so many open availability. I never had a problem the entire trip booking mobile orders, but you would just see like lines and lines of people waiting for their food. So another nice thing to kind of know about that ahead of time.
Yes. And people listening to this are obviously planners. So I don't want them to be too scared that you have a leg up.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We lucked out and got a table right outside that opened up. So we were able to sit there and eat lunch. And then at that point, we just kind of decided to take it easy and do some things that we don't typically get to do. So we went over and did the Monsters, Inc. laugh floor show, which we haven't done in a while, which was fun. It actually ended up being like the longest we waited for anything the entire day because we had just missed a show when it started. So ended up waiting about 25 minutes before we got in for the next one. And then did Carousel of Progress. And then at 1:35, we decided to go on to Astro Orbiters. It was a posted 15-minute wait, and it actually ended up being about 20-minute wait. While we were in line for that, my older son fell in line and cut open his knee. And so we knew we were going to have to make a trip over to First Aid after that. So did that. They were so nice in First Aid. And I know they have been, but we were able to just pop in. They gave us stuff to clean his leg and gave us bandages, and it was really easy. And so highly recommend. If you have to go to First Aid, it was not that bad to do it. So
cast compliments for First Aid workers.
Cast compliments for First Aid. Yes. After that, we did People Mover, got on that at 2:01, a posted wait of 5 minutes, but just was a walk-on. And then we did Buzz Lightyear, which was the pre-booked Lightning Lane that we had from earlier in the day. So it was a posted 45-minute wait at that time. We tapped in at 2:18 and waited 8 minutes. I was very disappointed because I usually do pretty well on Buzz Lightyear, but my younger son was in the car and was just like spinning around with not understanding that I wanted to focus on specific things. So I didn't do very well on that time, but I redeemed myself later in the trip.
That's also a good ride to get stuck on.
It is a good ride. So that happened later. I'll come to that later, but that was a fun thing that happened. So then it was time for our pre-booked Tiana's Lightning Lane. So we walked over to that. And this is where like we did rider swap again because my younger son was not tall enough for it. And we did decide to actually do rider swap for this one just because my husband and I both wanted to ride it and do it.
Did the 7-year-old get to ride twice or just once?
So he rode twice. Yeah.
Okay.
So he rode twice and loved it. Yeah. He's going to be so disappointed when my older son is tall enough to go on things and he doesn't get to rider swap anymore.
Yes. That's one of the times the older kids benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I mentioned in the pre-trip that my younger son typically does not nap, but that day he actually fell asleep in the stroller while they were on Tiana's. So that was great. So I just walked around and then hung out in the shade with him. They were on the ride for about 30 minutes and then got off. And then I tapped back on with my older son and we were on the ride in 7 minutes. So we got in pretty quickly the second time.
And I don't know if we talked in the pre-trip about the stroller. Did you bring your own?
Oh, yeah, we did bring our own. So we don't typically use a stroller a lot at home, but we have this double stroller that we'll use for Disney or for the zoo or things. And about a year and a half ago or so, like one of the wheels like broke off of it. And it's really easy to fix. Like we just pop it back on. And since like we don't use it very often and they're so expensive, we just have kept it and do it. But it's always funny when we go to parks because the wheel will fall off like randomly as we're going over a curb and stuff. And everyone's like freaking out that our stroller broke. And I'm like, it's fine. We got it. It's no big deal. But that comes up later too, because I think our stroller is now officially bit the dust after this trip. But it was fine. Yeah.
Okay.
At that point, it was fine.
That's how the 3-year-old fell asleep.
That's how the 3-year-old fell asleep. Yeah. So at that point, we were off the ride at 3:58. And so we decided that we were going to go and do Peter Pan and then leave because the park was starting to get more crowded. There wasn't anything like we specifically needed to do. It was going to close at 6 o'clock that night anyway for the party. And we planned to go to Disney Springs. So we walked over to Peter Pan. My younger son woke up right before we went on and decided he didn't want to do it. So only my older son and I went on. And then we walked out of the park. So I had misremembered, and I thought that there was a bus that would take us from Magic Kingdom to Disney Springs, but there wasn't. And so we just kind of looked to see what was available and what was kind of near, like what was there at that time. And there was a bus to the Riviera. And I was like, well, Riviera is close to Disney Springs. Let's just get on that. So we got on the bus to Riviera at 4:41. We got to Riviera at 5 o'clock. And right as we were pulling up to get off at Riviera, a bus was pulling in to go to Disney Springs. So we just sprinted off the one bus, got on the other one, and got right on at 5:01. So it actually worked out like as well as it could have, I think. Mm-hmm. But I thought in the past there had been buses that went from the parks to Disney Springs, but I guess I must be wrong.
Yes, I was thinking after a certain time of day, but I'm going to check into that because that would be new information to me as well.
Yeah. So got to Disney Springs at 5:15. And our priorities for Disney Springs were we wanted to look at the Christmas trees. We wanted to go to the Lego store. We wanted to go to Gideon's. And then we had a dinner reservation for T-Rex. Mm-hmm. So I took the boys into the Lego store. The line was pretty long to get in there. My husband went to Gideon's. We thought we were going to have to put our name in for a virtual queue or something. But the line was actually not long at all. So for the day before Thanksgiving, it only ended up being a 25-minute wait at Gideon's right before 6 o'clock. So not bad at all.
Crowd.
Yeah, not bad.
Although I'm a little surprised the locals weren't there.
Yeah. Especially because I think it was like the last day of their like special cookie that they were having. So they had a pumpkin toffee kind of cookie and then their pumpkin chocolate cake, which we got both of those. And then the peanut butter cold brew, which I always have to get no matter what time of day it is. I just think it's great. So he was done there before we were actually done in the Lego store. So he came and met us. And then we walked around and looked at the Christmas trees, walked over to the Christmas store and got some ornaments, and then walked over to T-Rex. So we checked in at 6:42 for our 7 o'clock reservation, and we were sat at 7:10. And I think this is a one and done for us. We booked it because I thought the boys would enjoy, my younger one is really into dinosaurs, and I thought they would really enjoy the theming. And they did, but it was old after 5 or 10 minutes. And I was like, we could have just walked to the gift store and not done this. And I was thinking like that the food wasn't that great as I was eating it. And then my husband looked at me and he's like, we could have gone to any other place here and we would be having a better meal right now. I was like, I know, but it is what it is. So live and learn. It's fine. It was not like offensive. It just wasn't anything special. So then after that, we got on the bus to the boardwalk at 8:10, left right away. The bus stopped at Yacht and Beach Club first. And so we got back to boardwalk at 8:45 and then walked to the room. And our boys were asleep early this night. We got in bed at 9:15. We were in bed by 10 o'clock. And then our step count for this day was 18,000 steps. So still quite a bit with not even like an entire full day at Magic Kingdom.
Yes, that is a lot of steps. Thank goodness you have the stroller.
Thank goodness for the stroller.
Because their little legs would be double.
I know.
Their steps.
I know.
How pretty is the boardwalk this time of year?
It's so pretty. It's so pretty. So we stayed there and then Grand Floridian, and we'll get to Grand Floridian, but I would 100% stay at the boardwalk again this time of year. I don't know if I would do Grand Floridian again this time of year specifically, but the boardwalk was great. It was so beautiful. It didn't seem like super crazy busy. It was really nice to be there.
Yeah. I just left there yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind. And I fell in love with the boardwalk because of Christmas. I just think it's so beautiful. So that was the end of your Wednesday. And the next day was Thanksgiving.
Next day was Thanksgiving.
You had plans at Epcot.
Yes. So our plans for this day were to try to get as much done in the morning as we could, leave by early afternoon to go back and do some swimming at the resort. Because this was really the only day, or the last day that was supposed to be really nice. It was a cold front coming through. And so you knew if we were going to do swimming, it was going to be today. So we had planned to rope drop, and we did do this day. So this was another like great benefit to staying at the boardwalk. We left our room at 7:12. Early entry started at 8:30. So we just walked right over to Epcot. And we were at International Gateway at 7:23. We were the very first stroller in line. They hadn't even been letting people in yet. We were like the 8th overall group of people in line. So it was really nice to kind of be there that early and kind of get ready for the day. And we were planning on going to rope drop Remy's. So started letting people through security at 7:30 and then held us at the top of International Gateway. They held us there until about 7:55 and then let us walk down to the next place and then held us right at the entrance to the France Pavilion until 8:20. And then at 8:20, let us start walking to the queue to Remy, but then didn't let us like actually get in the queue of Remy until exactly 8:30. So we got on the ride, walked through the line at 8:32, got right onto the ride. We were off at 8:48. And at that point, when we were off, the park hadn't even officially opened, but it was posting a 95-minute wait. And the line, they must not have had like all the switchbacks open yet, but the line was legitimately going down all the way out through France, through like Morocco's next, I think. And like you could still see people lining up into Japan. And I was like, this is absolutely insane. I have no idea. It's a great ride. It's really fun. But I was like, if I saw that line, I would just turn around and walk away, I think.
Yeah. That is a long line.
Yeah.
Hopefully they did open more of a queue so those people were able to come in. But oh my gosh.
Yeah. So at that point, then we had our Garden Grill breakfast reservation for 9:05. So we just walked over there and checked in at 9 o'clock and got seated right at 9:05. The breakfast was good. Our service was great. We've done breakfast there before, and I thought like in the past breakfast was a little bit better, but I didn't think the food was like as good as it was before, but it was not terrible. It was good overall. We had gotten the boys these like kind of like Etch-a-Sketch pads that you can draw things on with like multicolors. And so they were like trying to draw the characters as they were coming by and then showing them their pictures like as they came. So that kept them entertained during breakfast. And they really enjoyed the characters. I think the characters they do a good job there. They come around pretty quickly and it's very efficient. So that was really good. While we were there, our first lightning lane of that day was for Living with the Land at 10:30. And I knew we were going to be finishing up breakfast early. So I was actually able to modify it up to 10:10 and we were able to get on it immediately after breakfast. So we walked on down there at 10:11. It was just a posted 15-minute wait, but we walked on. And at that point, the Living with the Land was already had all of the lights on and everything for their overlay, the holiday overlay. And so we were able to see all of that on that day, which was nice. As soon as we tapped into Living with the Land, I got a Soarin' lightning lane and got that for 11:30 to 12:30 at that time. Once we got off the Living with the Land, I modified up our 11:15 Seas with Nemo and Friends and was able to get it up to 10:35. And so we walked over and did that. And this is where like I really started seeing how crowded the park was because I've never seen a long line for Nemo. And it was a posted 45-minute wait for that. And I was like, okay,
I would say Nemo is my litmus test for Epcot.
Yeah.
If that's busy, the park is so busy because it's like a walk-on.
Right, exactly.
45 minutes? That's
45 minutes. Yeah. So it was a walk-on for us. We got right in and then got off that. We got a next lightning lane. We got a Spaceship Earth lightning lane. It was booking out at that point to 4:45 in the day, but we were able to modify that. I got it up to 12:05. So that time we didn't have any lightning lanes yet. Our Guardians of the Galaxy was coming up a little bit later. We still had Frozen that was coming up a little bit later. So we walked over to Figment. That was a posted 15-minute wait. Just got in line and did that at 11 o'clock. We ended up waiting about 16 minutes. So it was accurate when we got on. But while we were in line, the time had actually jumped up on there to 30 minutes. So more people, I guess, were like seeing that and trying to get in line. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we went over and did Soarin' with the lightning lane. So this is another one that I opted not to do ride or swap on. Again, I like the ride. I think it's great. But Soarin', even with a lightning lane, I just think takes so long to do. Mm-hmm. So they actually they tapped in at 11:32. It was a posted 45-minute wait. And they waited 25 minutes total, even though they got right into the taps. But just I think while you're waiting for each show to get through, they weren't on the ride for another 25 minutes. They did get row B1 though, so they were happy about that. And then while they were on that, Liam and I just walked through the Moana show and then did a little bit of just shopping through the Creation shop. So after that, it was time for our Frozen Lightning Lane. We had the 11:55 Lightning Lane, tapped in at 12:21. It was a posted 75-minute wait. At that time, we just waited 4 minutes. So we're definitely getting use out of our Lightning Lanes on this day. This was a really good day to do it. And then after Frozen, both of our boys were starting to kind of have a meltdown, and they both were yelling that they wanted peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And of course, I didn't bring the Uncrustables from the hotel room that morning, even though I had them. And I've known from previous experience that they do actually sell them in the store, like the cafeteria area in the Living with the Land pavilion. So, but we were had just left there. We were all on the other side. So I trekked over and got them the little snack packs that had those. While we were there, we were kind of realizing we were not going to be able to stay much longer during the day because they were just kind of melting down. And so we had our Lightning Lane for Guardians of the Galaxy coming up. But that was another one I think that really kind of takes a long time to ride or swap. And so my husband went to one of the guest services, Blue Umbrellas, just to see if he would be able to cancel his and get his money back for that. And they kind of gave him a hard time. Normally you can't cancel these. We'll make an exception this one time. But they did cancel his Lightning Lane. So after I got the food for the boys, we canceled the Spaceship Earth Lightning Lane that we had, and then walked over and my older son and I did Guardians of the Galaxy. So we tapped in at 1:02, got right through to the first room where they kind of start the whole process. But then with just the waiting to get through all the different pre-shows and get on the ride, we got off at 1:34.
What song did you get?
We got I Run that time. And then we just decided to walk back to the hotel. So walked back to the boardwalk, got there at about 2:00, hung out in the room for 30 minutes, and then went over to the pool. The water was warm, but it was definitely cold getting in and out. It was high 70s that day. So not my ideal swimming temperature, but the boys were both really happy using the pool. My older son loves water slides, so was just happy as a clam just going up and down the water slide that they have there. We were in the main pool for about an hour and then went over to the splash pad, kind of playground area, and we're there for another 30 minutes. And I had a margarita, and I was like, this is a great Thanksgiving. Just sit here by a pool with a margarita. This is great. And then we decided to go back to our room and got ready for dinner.
I felt like Boardwalk had really chill family vibes because there's that green space, that when you get to the bottom of the stairs before you go out to the boardwalk.
Yes.
And I just felt like kids were just running everywhere. It just felt like good family holiday vibes.
I agree. It was fun. There were a lot of families with kids. My older son made a friend going up and down the water slides. It was fun. It was really good.
Yeah. And so you guys had to prepare for your dinner reservation, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So then
it's a 2-character meal day.
It's a 2. Well,
this is dinner.
Yeah, just as dinner. Yeah. So breakfast was character meal. Dinner, we went over to Topolino's, which we had never been there not for breakfast. So not for a character meal. So this is our first time doing dinner.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. We left our room at 5:15 and took the Skyliner over. We had a 5:50 dinner reservation. It was really easy to get there. I just took note they did have a Thanksgiving dinner option where they had a traditional turkey dinner, but we opted to get other things off the menu. So we did the ricotta appetizer, and then I got the rigatoni and my husband got the sole. We had each had a cocktail, which was really nice, and then shared a bottle of wine, which I had never gotten a bottle of wine at Disney, I don't think, before. And so I didn't realize it's just, you could take it back with you if you don't finish. I was like, great, that's fine. But I didn't realize how they do that. They put it in a box for you and seal it up so that I guess you can't open it while you're on any of the transportation or anything. So that was fun to kind of see that. And they were our waitress was fantastic. My older son got the grilled chicken kids meal and wanted ranch dressing to dip it in, and they didn't have any in the restaurant, but she went down to, I guess, one of the quick services and was able to get it for him. So I thought that was really nice. We sent her a cast compliment for doing that. So then we left there at 7:30.
Can I ask you overall what you thought? Because you've not been there for dinner.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought it was good. It's not the best meal I've ever had at Disney, but I think I would go back again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I just most people just talk about breakfast there, so I was curious.
Yeah. No, I liked dinner. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Okay,
it was good. And so then we finished up at 7:30. Just kind of looked around the store, the Riviera, a little bit, and then got back on the Skyliner. We were back in our room by 8:15, and the boys were back in bed by 9. And our step count that day was 19,256, and we had gone 7.5 miles.
Mm-hmm. Epcot especially, I think, is easy.
Yeah.
And you were walking there, so that adds to the
Right. Right.
People thought it was impossible to build a firm, lifted booty and flatten and shrink your abs at the same time. But we've cracked the code. I'm Carl, the CEO of Body. That's Body with an I. And if you want to lose weight while you build a firm, round booty and flat, tight abs, even that lower pooch, you need to start the 80-Day Obsession Fitness and Eating Program on Monday. 80 workouts shot in real time. It's like you're training with the cast as they make progress day by day. Crazy booty gains, flat, tight abs. We tested it, improved it, and now it's your turn. There's no subscription needed. You can get this in-home program for less than $1 a workout and own permanent digital access. But here's the thing. We're inviting you to get 80-Day Obsession by Friday so you can start on Monday. And if you don't see results in your butt and abs in the first 30 days, you get your money back, no questions asked. So get 80-Day Obsession by Friday so you can start on Monday. Go to 80dayobsession.com. That's 80dayobsession.com.
Attention parents and grandparents. Are you searching for the perfect gift for your kids this holiday season? Give the gift of adventure that will last all year long. A Guardian bike. The easiest, safest, and quickest bikes for kids to learn on. Kids are learning to ride in just one day. No training wheels needed. What makes Guardian bikes special? They're the easiest to ride thanks to the thoughtful engineering, lightweight frames, and kid-friendly components. Kids love how fun and easy they are to ride. And parents appreciate the safety features, like the patented braking system that prevents head-over handlebar accidents. Guardian bikes are the only kids' bikes designed and assembled in a USA factory, ensuring top-notch quality and durability. They're built to last and make perfect hand-me-downs. Make holiday gifting stress-free with Guardian bikes. With guaranteed 1 to 2 day shipping for just $29, you can trust your gift will arrive in time to create magical memories this holiday season. Plus, sign up for their newsletter to receive a free bike log and pop with your first purchase, the perfect stocking stuffer for any kid on your list. Visit guardianbikes.com to secure the ultimate holiday gift today. Happy riding!
Yeah. The next day was Friday, November 29th, and you had other family arriving and you were moving to the Grand Floridian.
Well, we were moving the next day to Grand Floridian, but my family was checking in to the Grand Floridian that day.
My notes say check into the Grand Floridian, but it was referring to them, not you.
Yes. Yeah. So their flight was leaving at 5:50 in the morning. So they had gotten up at 3:30 and gotten to the airport. And so their flight was great. They landed at 7:50. And before this, so this was the day that we had also booked Premier Pass lightning lanes for myself, my husband, my older son, and my brother, and then done lightning lanes for the other 3 people, my parents and my younger son. And this was a really hard day to try to line everything up. And the reason we had done this was because my parents aren't going to ride a lot of the rides there. My younger son can't ride a lot of the rides. So I felt like doing the Premier Pass for everybody was not really worth the money. Mm-hmm. But with it being so crowded, it was much more difficult to try to line up lightning lanes the way I wanted them to. And we did a lot more crisscrossing on the park than I would have wanted to. So I think if you could do Premier Pass and just have everyone in your party doing it, so you can just go in order of things, I think that's the way to do it. But we ended up making it all work out. So their plan had been to they were going to go to the Grand Floridian first, drop off their bags, and then come over to the boardwalk. But they decided just to save time, they were just going to get their Uber from the airport to the boardwalk and leave their bags in our room because they were going to leave some stuff with us anyway. So they got in at 8:15 and they Ubered to the boardwalk and got to the boardwalk right at 9 o'clock.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. No, not bad at all. And I was waiting for bags and everything. So not bad at all. While I was waiting for them to come, my son's Toy Story Mania lightning lane was earlier in the day. My parents, I wasn't able to get until 7 o'clock at night. So I was trying to modify their lightning lanes up quite a bit. And it was sold out for the day, but then ones would keep popping up. So I was refreshing for about 30 minutes and ended up moving my younger sons down and my parents up. So we got them at the same time for 5 o'clock in the evening. So that was okay. But I realized that was so I moved that until later in the evening. So that was the stuff I had adjusted before we got started.
And all this coordination is all on you.
All on me. Yeah. All on me.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I think I'm the one that my husband understands it quite a bit. So he could have done a lot of it. I don't think my mom would have understood it enough to kind of do all of the modifications and things. And they just kind of trusted me to do it. So I was it's fine. I like doing it. It was fine, but it was much, much, much harder than I've ever experienced doing it.
Plus, you have your kids and you're taking notes for this podcast.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So we left the boardwalk at 9:45, walked over to Boardwalk Deli just to get some coffee for when we were going over. And then we just missed the boat by the time the coffee was ready from our mobile order. So we decided to walk over to Hollywood Studios and actually ended up, we were kind of tracking like where the boat was coming from. And we got there right at the same time as the boat was coming in. So, because it makes all the other stops at the other resorts. So it actually worked out fine. We got to Hollywood Studios at 10:15, and there were characters roaming around outside before you even check in, which I had never seen there before. So Tigger was out there, Geppetto was out there, Rabbit from Winnie the Pooh was out there, and Rafiki was out there. So my boys, they got to go up and run up to them and get pictures and things. They weren't like signing autographs, but you can kind of walk up and hang out with them for a little bit and take pictures. So that was fun.
That is fun. It's kind of random. That group.
Sometimes very random group of people. Yes.
Sometimes when they're random like that, they are training. But I've never known about that to be a training spot. So who knows?
Yeah. So we walked into Hollywood Studios at 10:23. And as we were walking through, we were going over to Toy Story Land. But kind of right out front of Mickey and Minnie's, there was a band that was playing and Max was out there dancing. And my boys are really into the Goofy movie right now. And so they love Max. So they got out and did like a parade with Max and did this little dance party and had a lot of fun doing that.
I feel like they were pulling out extra to entertainment.
I think they were. Yeah. I don't know if it's because they were just anticipating the park being so much busier that day and trying to get other things out. I don't know, but it was fun. They had a lot of things like that out there that day.
It was fun.
So we walked over to Toy Story Land. We had our first lightning lane for my younger son and my dad was Alien Swirling Saucers. So we tapped into that at 10:38. My mom gets really motion sick, so she did not want to go on that. So she actually just waited in line for Buzz Lightyear to see him while we were on the ride. And so we tapped in at 10:38. It was a posted 40-minute wait, and we waited 5 minutes. So not bad. After we tapped into that, I was trying to get the next lightning lane that my mom and son had was Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So I was trying to get my dad that one because his tier 1 was Slinky Dog Dash for later in the evening. So I had to get him onto Alien Swirling Saucers to get his next tier 1. And this was hard. I was trying to get it as close to the other ones as I could. I got it at 5:30. I kept trying to modify it. I got it up as early as like 12:30, but everybody else's was from 11 to 12. So we'll just see how this works out. So as we were waiting for the time to go on to that, we went and saw Buzz. We still waited another 15 minutes in line to see him. Then walked back up to the bathroom in there, got in line for Woody and Jessie. Their line was pretty quick. That line was only about 20 minutes to see them. And a toy soldier came by while we were waiting in line and was like talking to all of the kids in line. So that was fun. They got to do that. So at that point, I stopped by the Blue Umbrella. My mom said she didn't necessarily need to go on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So I was going to see if I could just switch her lightning lane with my dad's. Because I didn't want to have them switch magic bands and have something happen and then us not have problems for the rest of the day. So when I went to Blue Umbrella, I was just saying, hey, I just want to switch these times because my mom's not going to ride. My dad's going to do it instead. And he said, well, do you all want to go on together? I said, we do, but I just can't get the lightning lanes to work out well enough. And he's let me take a look at it. And so he actually just ended up canceling my dad's and gave him an anytime pass for Runaway Railway, which I thought was really nice. He didn't need to do that. And so we also sent him a cast compliment for doing that too. So
that is nice.
So we all tapped into Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway at 11:56. It was a 65-minute standby wait, and we waited 4 minutes. So after that, we split up. So myself, my husband, my brother, and my older son decided to go over to Star Wars Land and kind of knock out those rides. And my parents took my younger son on to the Frozen show. So we went over to Star Wars Land, walked through the marketplace, got in line for Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run at 12:35. It was a posted 45-minute wait. So that wasn't too terrible, I thought, for that. We got in right away. We were off the ride by 12:55, and we got to be two pilots and two gunners. So that was good. When we got off the ride, Chewie was out by the Millennium Falcon. So we stopped and took some pictures. Then walked over. This is like my brother's first time in Star Wars Land at all. So he thought like it was really, he just thought it was cool, wanted to walk around and explore things. So we walked over to the milk stand and got one of the blue milks and one of the green milks and tried those. And then walked over to Rise of the Resistance. And this is where I thought like you could really tell how crowded the park was, because we got there at 1:11. The posted wait time was 190 minutes. At that time, we were into the pre-show room in 9 minutes. So for us, it was like not bad at all. But I felt really bad for people who were out there waiting, because that just takes up such a chunk of your day. And while we were in line, they announced that the wait times were increasing for the ride. So it had actually gone up. By the time I got off, it was up to 205 minutes. So I don't know. It's a great ride, but that's just, it's a long wait. So for that, I was glad that we had the lightning lane and were able to do that and it not be a problem.
Yeah. It saves so much time.
It saves so much time. Yeah. So after that, I went and met up with my parents and my younger son. The other three went on Star Tours. I get motion sickness from Star Tours, so I didn't go on that. It was a posted 20-minute wait, and they waited 3 minutes. And then we walked over to Hollywood Brand Derby for our reservation. We had the Fantasmic dining package for this.
Mm-hmm.
So our reservation was for 2:20. We checked in at 2:15 and got seated at 2:30. And here the food was good too. I think it wasn't fantastic. It was good. I don't know if I would necessarily need to do it again, but for doing the Fantastic dining package, I think it worked out well. And at that point, it was starting to rain a little bit. So we were trying to figure out what we were going to be doing next. And I think it was like the early morning wake up was starting to hit my dad and my brother especially. And so I was like, well, we don't have to stay and do everything. Well, we really want to do Fantasmic, but maybe we'll cancel Oga's. So at that point, we canceled the Oga's that we had pushed back for after Fantasmic. So after that, we went over and everyone wanted to do the Indiana Jones scene. So we got out of lunch at 4:20 and went over and got in for the 4:30 Indiana Jones show. It had stopped raining at this point, but because it was slick outside, they actually cut the show short, which I didn't realize they would do, but they just did the first two scenes. It was still good, though. After that, we walked over to Tower of Terror, because this is the time where my mom's lightning lane was for that. So tapped into that at 5:11. My dad waited with my son. He doesn't like to go on that ride. So he just waited with my younger son while the other 5 of us went on. It was a posted 60-minute wait. And we got in pretty quickly. But then when we got down to the elevators, they were closing down half the ride. So I think half of it broke at that point. So we waited a little bit longer to get actually onto the elevators itself. And when we got off, it was a 95-minute wait at that time. The guy next to me on the ride, it was so funny. I think it was his first time ever on the ride, and he had no idea what to expect. So as it started like going up and down, he was like grabbing my arm and just like yelping. And I was cracking up laughing. I just thought it was so funny. And my husband like didn't know what was going on. So he just hears me laughing. He's, what is so funny? Like, you've been on this ride before. And so afterwards, I was just telling him about it. I think it's always fun to see people's like first experience with that. But I was like, not experienced to have a stranger just grab at my arm and everything. But
I think it might be one of the most fun rides with first timers. But one of the reasons too is because they don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Are we going up? Are we dropping? Are we going? What is happening? And the rest of us that have been on it, we know what to expect it. And they're just like on edge from the time that the ride starts.
Yeah. So he apologized when we got down to when the ride ends. He said, I'm so sorry I did that. I was like, it's fine. It was funny. So
hopefully he liked it.
Yeah, I think he did. So then at this point, again, we now had our Toy Story Midway Mania Lightning Lane that I had gotten for the other 3. So backtracking again in the park, went onto that, got there at 5:55, and it was a posted 95-minute wait. We got in 10 minutes, and everyone had fun on this ride, so it was good to do it. My younger son at this point was like, not really feeling a lot of rides, and especially dark rides. He like started to get more scared about what was going to be happening next, even rides that he had gone on before. And so for that ride, I was like, well, it's not a ride, it's a game. It's a game. Because I don't want to go on a ride. I was like, well, it's a game. And so then after he's like, yeah, this is just a game. This is just a game. And then later on in the trip, like he was like, I want to go do the game again. I don't want to do a ride. I want to do the game. So that was fun. So then after that, it was right at 6:15. And so we all walked back over to the Fantasmic Theater. My parents went in with the boys for that and got into like the reserved seating area that we had for that, tapped in. And then my husband, brother, and I went over and did Rock and Roller Coaster at this time. So we tapped in at 6:38 and it was a 55-minute wait, and then got off at 7:05. Got a drink before walking in and then walked into Fantasmic. There were still quite a few reserved seats available, but the rest of the theater was filling up and the theater was completely full by the time the show started. I love Fantasmic. I think it's like one of the best nighttime shows. So I was really excited. I thought it was a lot of fun to do that. So we had a good time there.
How's your 3-year-old do with it?
He loves it. He loves characters. And so I think like he was just so excited to see Mickey and like the music and things. So yeah, it's the things that he's scared of, I think are weird, and they changed all the time. They even changed like in the middle of the trip of the things that he was scared of. So it's hard to predict at that age, I think.
It totally is. That's why I asked, because sometimes Fantasmic is scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even during the villain scene, during Halloween, we have this humongous inflatable Ursula that we have in our front yard, and he loves her. And so even during the villain scene, I was like, well, Ursula's coming. And so he was like, oh, Ursula. And so he was excited about that. So
if he can handle Ursula,
yeah,
he can handle anything.
He can handle anything. Exactly. Okay, so then after this, we walked back over to Toy Story Land to do Slinky Dog. And so our plan had tried to been, during the pre-show we talked about, we wanted to try to maybe do this while fireworks were going off in the show, because that's my younger son, or my older son's favorite thing, is just to go on a roller coaster while fireworks. And we were getting there earlier than I thought, like we were actually going to see them, and I thought it was going to be fine. But when we were going there, I don't think something was going on with his lightning link, with his magic band, my older son's. And so he was tapping in, it was coming up as invalid. And then the cast member came over and he's actually, you have no tickets associated with this magic band at all. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. We've been using it all day. So then I tried pulling up his ticket on my phone, and the cast member's like, yeah, no, there's nothing linked to this. This ticket looks like it's invalid. And so you're going to have to go to one of the blue umbrellas to get it fixed. So at this point, it's like starting to drizzle a little bit. It's 8:30 and I'm just like getting stressed about getting back to even get on it at all. And this is the ride he really wanted to go on. And we were waiting to the end of the evening because he wanted to try to do the fireworks and all this. So walked to like where the blue umbrella would be, right by the Pixar place area. But there was no one working there anymore. It had closed for the evening. And so another cast member told me like the only place that was available was all the way up at the front of the park. So we get up there and I'm explaining what's happening to the cast member. And he scans his magic band. He's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, it's fine. I see the lightning lane there. Like, his ticket's valid. He's like, hold on, let me take it in the back and see what's going on. And so he came back and he's like, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, but it's working now. And I gave the two of you additional passes so you can go on it twice. And so I was like, well, that was really nice. Thank you for doing that. I hope I can even get in once, but we'll see. So we booked it back to Toy Story Mania. To Slinky Dog. I had left my parents and my brother there. So the rest of us booked it back over, got there at 8:48, tapped in, everything worked. We did see fireworks like right as we were getting off, so that was good. He took that as a win. Got off at 8:55 and then ran and tapped back in and got back in at 8:58. So we were able to actually get on the ride twice, which was really fun.
That is so nice.
Yeah. So then the park had closed at 9. So we walked out. There was no boat available right then and there. And no one really wanted to walk back at that point because everyone was really tired. So we took the Skyliner back, which may not have necessarily been the most time efficient use of our time, but we actually got to see the Epcot fireworks while we were on the Skyliner. So that worked out really nicely. So that was good. Got back to our room at 9:45. My parents then took an Uber over to the Grand Floridian. And this is another place I was just really happy to be, like right on the boardwalk. I went out to the boardwalk area while my husband was getting our boys ready for bed. And I got like a piece of pizza from the pizza window and got one of the pickle corn dogs from the corn dog stand because we wanted to try that. And then came back in, my husband and I ate, and then we packed up and prepared for our early morning and early transfer for the next day.
Yeah, this is the first of your transfers.
Yeah.
The next day was Saturday, November 30th.
Yeah, so next day was Saturday. Yeah,
I was going to say, did you start the day with the transfer?
We did. So our plan was to go to Animal Kingdom that day. We wanted to go early. My dad was not going to go, but my mom and brother were meeting us over there early from the Grand Floridian. We had talked about possibly trying to rope drop so that my mom could try to go on Flight of Passage twice because she just loves that ride. And we did get a lightning lane for it, but then opted not to with just the transfer and everything. And she said she was fine with just riding it once. So we were planning to get there at 8:00. We had our first lightning lanes were for the safari for 8:00 and 8:05. So that was our plan to start there. We called bell services at 7:25. They got there at 7:35. We were going to walk right out. But as we were waiting for them to come, and then right after they came, so my older son was drinking like a breakfast shake. He drinks like these Pediasure shakes for breakfast. And he was being silly and was drinking a shake. And the gentleman with our luggage walked out, and I was like, okay, finish up your drink and then we're going to go. And he spilled the entire thing all over his sweatshirt, and we had no extra clothes at this point. So I ran out in the hallway to see if I could find the bellman, and he had already left. And so then I ran to the store on the boardwalk. I was going to I'll just buy him a shirt and a sweatshirt from there. So that was closed and not opening until 8:30. So I was like, I don't know what we're going to do. So at that point, my mom called me, and she and my brother had already gotten on the bus, and then we're already at Animal Kingdom. And so I was like, okay, can you buy us a t-shirt and a sweatshirt for Henry? We took his t-shirt off him. I put my sweatshirt on him. And so he just went out to the bus with a sweatshirt dragging down to his knees. And it worked out fine. It was just a lot more stressful than we anticipated. And I was used to taking clothes for my younger son. We had some extra clothes for him in case he had an accident, but I just never thought in my mind to bring some for the 7-year-old. So it worked out okay, but we got there later. So we left our room at 8:15 and kind of tapped into Animal Kingdom at 8:40. So then got there. My mom had already gotten new clothes for Henry, got him in those. And then we walked over to Safari. We ended up tapping in at 8:55. It was a posted 15-minute wait, but it was a walk-on. At that time, I knew we weren't going to be able to get 3 rides in before breakfast. I had planned, I wanted to try to do Safari and Everest and Dinosaur before breakfast, and knew that wasn't going to happen anymore. So I modified our Dinosaur lightning lane that we had and was able to get a 9:30 Everest, which worked out nicely since that's kind of closer to the safaris. So we went over and did that. My mom waited with my younger son while we were there. We tapped into Everest at 9:40. It was a 20-minute wait. We waited 10 minutes, but only because we were waiting for the front row. So both parties wanted to do the front row for that. So that was good. And then we had walked over to breakfast. My mom and brother decided they didn't want to do breakfast. They had decided that earlier in the week. So we had canceled the reservation that we had for 6 people and just did the reservation for 4. And my mom and brother went and did the Lion King show while we were in breakfast. So we had our 10:10 reservation. We checked in at 10:05, got into breakfast at 10:15. The food was really good, but we had just missed seeing Mickey. He was 2 tables beyond us while we sat down. So Daisy and Goofy came by pretty quickly, and then Donald came by 30 minutes later, and then we were waiting almost 90 minutes, and Mickey had still not come back around. And I just wanted to leave, but my younger son was like, I have to see Mickey. I want to see Mickey. And so our waitress luckily was great and realized that that's what we were waiting for. So she went and talked to the character handler, and they let us come into one of the other rooms where Mickey was and see him so we could leave. So that was good. I like their breakfast. I think their breakfast is great there. It was fun, but I don't know if I would do a character breakfast again there super soon just because of how much time it took.
That is a very long time.
Yeah.
I am surprised by that. And compared to Garden Grill, did Garden Grill go?
Garden Grill went super quick. We saw each character twice at Garden Grill within 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think that's an interesting different, but also there's a different flow for the characters.
Right. And there's so many different rooms and stuff. So yes. I mean, I get it, but it's just.
It is hard when
it's hard.
Long. That's a long, long time. Yeah. I just was at Vero Beach and it was an hour to meet the characters, and I was irritated at that. And that's Vero Beach. That's not Disney World where they are, doing this
right
full times a day. I would be disappointed too.
Yeah. So at that point, we left at 11:45, left breakfast. While we were in breakfast, we actually got a text that our room at the Grand Floridian was ready. So that was good knowing we can go back whenever we were ready for that. So we walked over to Navi River Journey. We had an 11:35 and an 11:40 lightning lanes. Tapped in at 11:54. It was a posted 60-minute wait, and we just waited 5 minutes. And then after that, we did Avatar Flight of Passage, and we did do a rider swap for this one. So in the first group, myself, my mom, my brother, and my son went on while my husband waited with my younger son, and then my husband and older son went back on again. It was a 70-minute wait. While my husband and older son were on again, my brother and mom went to Satuli Canteen and got lunch, and so I just sat there with them with our younger son. So then after that, we walked over and did a dinosaur lightning lane. I opted to stay off with this, and I stayed with my younger son and my mom, and we watched like the Merry Menagerie come through, and so that was fun to see. And then at that point, decided to call it a day for Animal Kingdom and go over to the Grand Floridian because we had a busy night planned for that night. We were going to be going to Jollywood Nights. So we wanted to check in and get a little bit of rest before doing that.
Yeah. You said in the pre-trip you were planning to leave around 1. What was the actual time?
We actually left at 2. So a little bit longer than we wanted to, but not terrible. Not terrible.
Yeah. Jollywood Nights wasn't going to start for several hours, so you had time.
Yeah.
But then, so you went to the Grand Floridian. Were your bags available for bill service?
So our bags were available. Called them and brought them up. They were actually missing one of our bags, and so they weren't sure where it was. And we had the Apple AirTags like in some of our bags, but didn't have them in every single one. And of course, the one that they were missing, we didn't have it in. And it was not something to have a ton of really necessary things in, but was at least something I needed, and we needed it back at some point. But they found it within an hour. They said the tag I must have slipped off of it, and it was in another group's like luggage area. But they asked me to just describe in detail what the bag looked like and what was in the bag, and then they brought it right up to us. So that was good. We unpacked at this point and watched just like some college football that day, and then got dressed for Jollywood Nights. We decided to try to grab some food before going over there. So mobile ordered for a Gasparilla Grill, and we're there waiting at 5:15. I had wanted to try to do Enchanted Rose and get a drink before going in there, but we couldn't get a mobile reservation, like an early reservation, a mobile reservation for it. And we walked over and it was a 65-minute wait to get in. And I was like, this isn't worth it. And this is where I would say like, why I just don't think I would do Grand Floridian at Christmas time again. Like, it's beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous. And the location is wonderful. But the lobby and the main building were just so crowded with people coming to see the tree and the gingerbread house and go places. And I was like, it's just not worth, because you can't even get through the lobby easily. It was hard with the stroller to get through and maneuver things. So I was like, it was great. And I would absolutely stay there again, but not during Christmas.
I've described it as feeling like you're staying in a mall.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good example.
There are so many people. And if you're just trying to get to your room, it's a lot to navigate.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so you skipped Enchanted Rose.
So skipped Enchanted Rose, yeah. So we went to the bus to go to Hollywood Studios, and the line for the buses was really long. It was backed up almost to the main entrance of Grand Floridian, and the bus stop is like all the way off to the side. I think a lot of people were trying to go to Hollywood Studios, or I'm sorry, not to Hollywood, to Disney Springs. So there were some cast members there like trying to direct, and if a Hollywood Studios bus came up there, like trying to get people out of line to come around and get through everybody. But we waited a lot longer than I had anticipated. Waited about 40 minutes for buses, even though like buses were coming pretty continuously. So I was hoping to get to Hollywood Studios at 6. We ended up getting there at 6:30. So not awful, and then kind of took our picture by the Jollywood Nights sign and then got started for the night. And this is where I said things did not go completely according to plan, but we still had a really good time for the night. So we had wanted to do a lot of the shows and do Jingle Bell Jingle Bam and do the Pixar disco and then see some characters. And so the first character that we decided to try to do was Powerline Max. And so that was the first thing we got in line for. All the characters were like waiting around Echo Lake. So we got in line for Powerline Max at 7:20. They said that the characters were going to start coming out at 7:30, and there were only about 15 people ahead of us, so I didn't think we were going to be waiting that long. He came out at 7:35, and like we ended up seeing him at 8:03. But between 7:35 and 8:03, he took 2 breaks, which I was like, this just seems a little excessive. Like, I understand taking one break, but 2 during that time just seemed a lot. So I felt like we waited more for him like leaving and coming back than actually the line should have been at that point.
That's strange. That's not 2 breaks in 30 minutes. Seems
2 breaks
like
in 30 minutes.
more than normal.
Right. And at first I thought after the first one was so quick, I was like, well, maybe there's something wrong and he needed to leave. But then the second one happened like that too. So I don't know. So then we went over to the Pixar dance party, and I thought this was going to be cute, but thought we would just spend 5 minutes. Shannon, we were there for 35 or 40 minutes. My younger son especially was just having the time of his life.
Sarah, I was there with adults only over the weekend. We spent an hour there.
Wow.
It was my favorite part.
It was my favorite part too. It was so fun.
Jollywood Nights. It was my favorite part. I was like, the soiree.
Yeah.
Great, beautiful Pixar dance party.
It was so fun. It was so fun.
Best.
There were not that many people there either. There were maybe only like 20 or 25 people. And it started off with Edna Mode, Sadness, Frozone, and Mike Wazowski. And then Joy came out a little bit later. And we just had the best time, the absolute best time. They spent so much time with both of my kids. It was great. We could have stayed there all night.
Yeah, that was cute. More of that Disney.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It was great. And I don't know if they were doing that it was like the one big kids thing that they had for them. So I don't know if they could have definitely put more of that in or made it a little bit bigger. It was fantastic. I thought it was great.
But that's even as a group of only adults.
Yeah.
We were going to where the kids were dancing because it was so much fun. Also,
fun.
I don't normally like Disney DJs.
The DJ was great.
That guy's incredible.
He was so good.
As you and I are speaking, he is at a DVC event, and I'm jealous of the DVC members who are there because I'm like, that DJ's really cool.
He was really good. I agree. He was really good. So right after this is when our night kind of took a little bit of a turn too. So while we were dancing, my older son was starting to say that he wasn't feeling great and wanted some water. So we had him go and sit down, and I bought him a water from the Joffrey's cart. And then we were planning on going over to Toy Story Land to try to see Bo Peep and Lot. And so we stopped in the restroom and we're walking over there. And this is kind of when like fiasco started to ensue. So my younger son recognized that we were going into Toy Story Land and wanted to play the game again. So wanted to go to Toy Story Mania and just sprinted and took off without us. So my brother ran after him. And so then I was trying to call my brother to find out where they were. And as I was doing that, my older son had gotten back into the stroller and then got sick all over the stroller. And I think it was just like too much sugar and then the dancing. And so he's like just completely covered. Our stroller is completely covered. My younger son's like off in Toy Story Land with my brother. I was like, oh, okay. So at this point, my dad like went with my brother and took my younger son on Toy Story Mania and on Alien Swirling Saucers. I was trying to think of like the closest place where I can get clothes again. So that was the second new Disney outfit in this day for my son. So I went to the store like right outside of Toy Story Mania because I was like, I think I had remembered seeing kids' clothes there. And so luckily I was able to find like sweatpants and a t-shirt and a sweatshirt. So bought all of that for him. He's in the bathroom with my mom. My mom's trying to clean him up. He's crying and upset. And so like get him all squared away in his new clothes and everything. And then I was like, okay, let's go back to the room. He's no, I feel so much better now. I want to stay. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, I feel great. I feel so much better. And so I don't know if it was just like the sugar and then the dancing and what it was, but I felt like a terrible mom because I'm like, oh my God, my kid just got sick all over and we're just going to hang out here. But he like very much insisted. He's like, this is what I want to do. I want to stay. So at this point though, like my husband's cleaning up the stroller and did as best of a job as he could. But now this is why I said the stroller is done at this point because the smell has not come off and the broken wheel. I think I wanted to just leave the stroller in Disney, but I was outvoted on that. So we cleaned it off and then put shopping bags down so that the boys could still sit in there without getting wet on that. And then walked over to Toy Story Land to try to get to my younger son. and my dad. And at this point, my older son saw Slinky Dog. He's, oh, I want to go on Slinky Dog now. I was like, you just threw up. Are you sure you want to go on Slinky Dog? He's like, yeah, no, I want to go on Slinky Dog. So he and my brother waited for that. It was a posted 40-minute wait. They ended up waiting 15 minutes. And so then at that time, I went on with my mom and my younger son on to Toy Story Mania again, because he was just like, I want to do the game again. Let's do that. So we did that while my husband and dad went over and stood in front of the theater to wait for a Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam.
Mm-hmm.
So we walked out of Toy Story Mania at 8:45 or at 9:45, walked over to Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam. It was a really good show. We enjoyed that. Then decided we had dressed up for Jollywood Nights. And at that point, I changed, since my older son was already in sweatpants, I changed my younger son just into sweatpants and things. And then we walked back over to Toy Story Land to try to see Bo Peep and Lotso, which we had tried to do an hour and a half prior. We got there and Bo Peep was just a quick wait. We waited 6 minutes. And then they said that Lotso would be coming out in 30 minutes because that was like an alternating place. So we decided to do the game again one more time. We went on Toy Story Mania again. And it was only posted as a 10-minute wait, but I think the ride broke down. It took us about 25 minutes to get on. And so then at that point, we got out and Lotso had been done and come back out. And so then it was Bo Peep again. So I was like, we're not going to wait again. Like we missed Lotso. It's okay. So at that time, we got kids back in the stroller. My younger son then fell asleep at that point. And it's 10:55. This is the latest he's ever stayed up. So like he was done. We walked back around Echo Lake. My older son met Pinocchio with no wait. I went over and tried to get the party merchandise, but the pin was sold out, which I was kind of disappointed in. But I realized I probably should have gotten over there earlier. And so then we decided to call it a night. We walked out of Hollywood Studios at 11:45. We were on the bus at 11:55 and back to the Grand Floridian at 12:15.
You guys approached that kind of an after-hours event.
We did. And so it was like in the pre-show, I said I was not planning on doing rides that night. I really just wanted to kind of focus on shows and characters. We did the characters. We did Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam. We just never made it over to the soiree or to do any of the theater shows, which I was disappointed by. But honestly, in retrospect, going with kids, I think that was like the best way that we could have done it. And it worked out. It ended up all working out okay.
People thought it was impossible to build a firm, lifted booty and flatten and shrink your abs at the same time. But we've cracked the code. I'm Carl, the CEO of Body. That's Body with an I. And if you want to lose weight while you build a firm, round booty and flat, tight abs, even that lower pooch, you need to start the 80-Day Obsession Fitness and Eating Program on Monday. 80 workouts shot in real time. It's like you're training with the cast as they make progress day by day. Crazy booty gains, flat, tight abs. We tested it, improved it, and now it's your turn. There's no subscription needed. You can get this in-home program for less than $1 a workout and own permanent digital access. But here's the thing. We're inviting you to get 80-Day Obsession by Friday so you can start on Monday. And if you don't see results in your butt and abs in the first 30 days, you get your money back, no questions asked. So get 80-Day Obsession by Friday so you can start on Monday. Go to 80dayobsession.com. That's 80dayobsession.com.
Attention parents and grandparents. Are you searching for the perfect gift for your kids this holiday season? Give the gift of adventure that will last all year long. A Guardian bike. The easiest, safest, and quickest bikes for kids to learn on. Kids are learning to ride in just one day. No training wheels needed. What makes Guardian bikes special? They're the easiest to ride thanks to the thoughtful engineering, lightweight frames, and kid-friendly components. Kids love how fun and easy they are to ride. And parents appreciate the safety features, like the patented braking system that prevents head-over handlebar accidents. Guardian bikes are the only kids' bikes designed and assembled in a USA factory, ensuring top-notch quality and durability. They're built to last and make perfect hand-me-downs. Make holiday gifting stress-free with Guardian bikes. With guaranteed 1 to 2 day shipping for just $29, you can trust your gift will arrive in time to create magical memories this holiday season. Plus, sign up for their newsletter to receive a free bike log and pop with your first purchase. The perfect stocking stuffer for any kid on your list. Visit guardianbikes.com to secure the ultimate holiday gift today. Happy riding!
Okay, so the next day was Sunday, December 1st, and the Magic Kingdom.
Yes. So at this point, like in the night before, we knew we were all going early. We had 8:05 reservations or Lightning Lanes for Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. And so I was like, realistically, everybody are like, are we really going to get up and go this early when we've been out this late? And that next night was going to be a Christmas party night. And everyone decided that no, they didn't want to do that. So we had a Seven Dwarves Lightning Lane booked from 8:40 to 9:40. And so we were planning to get to Magic Kingdom like towards the later end of that. So in the morning, I got up and I modified Lightning Lanes around. So I moved the Winnie the Pooh. I changed it to a later Pirates because Winnie the Pooh was then sold out for the day at that point. And we had a 12:30 Haunted Mansion. I moved that up and got it up to 9:45. So I was like, this will work out okay for the morning. So my husband left the room at 9:15 and he decided he was going to walk over from the Grand Floridian to the Magic Kingdom with the stroller because he's maybe like the sun will help air it out because it still had a pretty like strong smell to it. So let's just go walk over there in the fresh air and the sun and hopefully that'll kind of help with it. The rest of us took the monorail over, got on the monorail at 9:30 and then tapped into Magic Kingdom at 9:40. So when we were there, 5 of us headed to Seven Dwarfs. My mom and my younger son decided just to do standby for Winnie the Pooh. So they got in line at 9:55. It was a posted 30-minute wait. They waited 23 minutes. The rest of us, again, used our Lightning Lane for Seven Dwarfs. We tapped into that at 9:57. It was a posted 55-minute wait. We only waited 4 minutes and we're off the ride by 10:04. So then we waited for my mom and son to get off Winnie the Pooh. Then we did the carousel just because my younger son loves that. Got in line at 10:22. It was a walk-on and posted 5-minute wait. So then we started walking toward Haunted Mansion, and my younger son saw It's a Small World, and he was just obsessed with that ride after going on it earlier in the week, and so just refused to walk any further. He just stood there and just started yelling until someone decided to take him on Small World. And so what we did, our first Lightning Lane had been for Haunted Mansion, and my mom's like, I don't need to go. I'll just take him on that. So I canceled her Haunted Mansion, my dad's Haunted Mansion, and my son's Haunted Mansion Lightning Lanes, and was able to quickly book them Small World. Even though it was a walk-on, I wanted them to use the first Lightning Lanes, then I can open up and start booking other ones. So that's how we did that. So they did that Lightning Lane. The rest of us went over to Haunted Mansion. It was a posted 45-minute wait. We tapped in and it was a walk-on. Again, wanted to try to get Jingle Cruise at this point, but it was all booked out. So grabbed Buzz Lightyear for the afternoon. We all kind of got off the rides at the same time, decided to start walking over to Frontierland, and there was a cavalcade coming through. So we did that. And then this is where our group split up again. So my mom took my younger son to do Country Bears and the Magic Carpets of Aladdin. And the rest of us went over to do Tiana's. My mom decided she didn't want to do Tiana's because it was cold. And she's like, I don't want to get wet. And I was like, oh, it's only just like a little splash. Like, you won't get that wet. She's, no, I don't want to do it. So she decided to do that with my younger son. The rest of us, we did a standby line for Big Thunder first. It was a posted 15-minute standby lane. So I decided just to go ahead and do that. And it was exactly 15 minutes. We got in line at 11:34. While we were waiting in line, I ordered lunch from Columbia Harbor House to be ready for 12:30. And then after Big Thunder, we got off and did our Lightning Lane for Tiana. And so we only waited 8 minutes. It was great. We sat in the front 2 rows of the ride, and I was in the second row. My dad, brother, and son were in the front row. They got completely drenched. So I was glad I told my mom not. I was glad my mom decided not to go on it because I was just like, oh, yeah, just get splashed. I got a little wet, but they were completely soaked. But it was chilly-ish, and it was like 60s. But it was sunny, so it wasn't awful. But I felt bad because I told people, oh, you don't get that wet. It's just like a little log. But I had never gotten that wet in that ride before.
I think it depends on the weight of the boat overall.
Okay.
You know, a lot of bigger adults, it's going to splash a little more.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So after that, we walked over to Columbia Harbor House. We picked up lunch, sat there for about 30 minutes, and then kind of decided on the plan for the rest of the afternoon. My mom, dad, brother, and husband decided they wanted to do the Hall of Presidents. So they went and did that. I took my 2 boys over and did Magic Carpets. My mom had done the Magic Carpets with my younger son with just standby, so that I booked Lightning Lanes for the 3 of us to go on that. We got an immediate return time for 1:05. It was a posted 25-minute wait, and it was a walk-on. And then everyone met up at Pirates to do that at 1:45. It was a posted 30-minute wait. We got a walk-on. At that point, my mom realized that when she was going to tap in for her Lightning Lane, she realized that her magic band had fallen off at some point, and she couldn't remember like where it had happened. It was somewhere within like the last 2 hours. So luckily the cast member just let her show it on the phone and let her go in. And then after that, we found a blue umbrella. We deactivated her magic band and then they gave her a card to use for the rest of the time. So that worked out okay. But she's like one of the newer ones. And I think they just don't stay on. As I've noticed that if you're not really paying attention, if I lift up my kids or like do something, it'll fall off. So I think you do have to pay more attention to those.
I've even seen people lose them when they had the belt band.
Yeah,
things on
yeah.
there. And even those, they
Wow.
just pop off.
Yeah. So that was a little disappointing, but it ended up being okay. After that, we walked over and we did walked over to Tomorrowland and did a lightning lane for Buzz Lightyear. The posted wait was 40 minutes. We walked right onto it. And this is where the ride actually broke down while we were on it. So it broke down right in the first room. And myself and my husband and my brother and my dad, we all maxed out on points while we were in the first room. And then it reset the screens, like when the ride started going again. So we started off at 0. And then we got 999, 999 again, like by the second room. So we took pictures of it both times and we went to the cast member and got asked to get 2 stickers since we had actually gotten it twice on the ride. So I just thought it was funny. We enjoyed that. It ended up being fun, like a fun way to deal with a breakdown.
It makes me think we should put together a list of fun places to get stuck at Disney World. And one of them is going to be a stretching room and the other is going to be anything where you can score. I guess that would be Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, Buzz Lightyear, or I guess maybe Toy Story Mania. Although I feel like sometimes like when they have to stop that, they put like the fake screen up. So
yeah, I think they cap out at a certain time.
Okay.
So Buzz might be the only option, but we've started a list.
Okay. Yeah, those are both like great ones to do. I was not upset by either one. So then at that point, we were getting ready to, our Ohana reservation was coming up. So we walked out of Magic Kingdom at 3 and got on the monorail to go over to the Polynesian for our 3:45 Ohana reservation. Our reservation was for 3:45. We checked in at 3:30. I got called right at 3:45 and got sat. We had a good meal. I think the food here is really good, but just the other, I just feel like we're just wasting so much. They just bring so much food out. And I think I've heard in the past that the extra food goes to the animals at Animal Kingdom. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I don't know. But I just wish there was a better system, like where you could actually really just order what you wanted from the all-you-can-enjoy menu. Because I just felt like there was so much leftover food on our tables when we were leaving.
Mm-hmm. Portion sizes at fixed price meals often are just so much
more. So then after this, we got back on the monorail to go over for the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. And we tapped in at 5:15. And this is where we still had our Tron lightning lane that we had tried to get like as close to sunset as we were able to. So my husband, brother, and I walked over and did that. We tapped in at 5:37. It was quick. We were off by 6:02. Really enjoyed the ride, and we were on it right as sun was setting. So we got a little bit of the darkness as we were going through. So that was fun to do. While we were on that, my parents took my boys on Small World, since that's such a hit for my younger son.
The thing about that is it's such a time commitment.
It's such a time commitment. It took them longer to do that than it took us to do Tron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then we all met back up in New Fantasyland because our plan was to start and try to get some of the characters out of the way. And we wanted to do Donald, Daisy, Scrooge, and Minnie. So we got in line for them at 6:15. They weren't starting to meet characters until 7. And the cast members that were in there were really nice. And they said, you really just need one person to hold your spot in line if your whole group doesn't want to stand here and wait. So my husband stood there and waited. And I took my boys over to see Santa. He was right next door to where they were. And he started seeing people at 6. So he was already seeing kids at that time. So we got in line at 6:25. I was told it was a 35-minute wait when we got in line. And they had it really set up really nicely in there. They had like tables set up for kids and had crayons and like paper ornaments and things that they could color and do while they were waiting. So like it was not a bad time at all. We ended up waiting just like the 25 minutes total. And he had actually even taken a 10-minute break in that 25 minutes. So not bad at all. After we saw Santa, we then went back up and met up with my husband and got back in line for the other characters and saw them at 7:45. So waited a total of an hour and 20 minutes, but only 45 minutes from when they actually started seeing people. And then when we ran out of there, my younger son saw Dumbo and wanted to go on Dumbo, so ran onto Dumbo. It was a 5-minute wait, so just got right on there. And then after that, we went over to the Tomorrowland Speedway, got there at 8:05. It was a posted 15-minute wait, and we got on in 10 minutes. And so after that, we added in something from our pre-trip. And so like earlier in the week when the crowds were as big as they were, I was getting worried about like finding a place for fireworks for the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. And I had done dessert parties in the past for parties and thought like it was worth it for the viewing spot. And so I actually ended up booking dessert parties for us for that night too. There were reservations still open for that. So we went over to the dessert party. And again, like we were really kind of using it just as like the reserved seating area. And so we did the desserts, got in and got a couple of desserts and got some drinks. And then left the dessert party itself at 9:15, and my dad and husband went over and sat in the garden, and there were not a lot of people there at all. So like they got like a great spot in there and were waiting for us. While they did that, I took my mom and I took my 2 boys to try to see Mirabelle and Bruno. And they actually were not waiting. They were not in their normal spot, like where they should be. They said that they had to move because of this show and the fireworks going on. So they had moved them over to the gazebo over in Liberty Tree Tavern, which I thought was like very random. But we walked over there and I guess like people like weren't seeking them out and didn't know that they would be there. So it actually ended up only being like a 6-minute wait to see them. And my younger son had brought, like he has these like little mini figures of like different Disney things. And he had brought Mirabelle and Bruno with him. And so like he went up and was like showing them his characters and they were getting, and I would say like that was definitely like the best character interaction that we had. Like they just spent a ton of time with my boys and got a lot of pictures and stuff. So that was definitely worth it to do that.
I'm glad the wait was short, but just having them in that setting cracks me up.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't match.
It doesn't make any sense at all. No.
It's Disneyland. They have a whole separate meet and greet with their whole like backdrop that matches them.
Yeah, well, that's what they have too at Magic Kingdom. I think like set up there, but they just didn't have it. I don't know if it's because of the fireworks. I don't know. They're like, well, they'll come back over here at 11:15, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So it worked out. And then we walked back. We saw that the lines for the popcorn buckets were not that long, so we went and got one of the Mickey popcorn buckets for that they had at the party. And then went back and sat in the garden area and watched the 9:30 stage show and then did the fireworks. And this is what I would say is I have not had this happen before for the dessert parties, but I don't know. I don't know if I will do it again because of this reason. So normally I feel like they have the garden area blocked off for you to sit in, and then the sidewalk right in front of it, they have it blocked off for the ECVs. But I guess there weren't that many wheelchairs that had booked the dessert party. So they just blocked off the center area and opened up the sidewalks on either side. So there were people that were standing like literally right in front of us in the garden area. So I was like, this like actually didn't help us at all. Like where in the past, I definitely felt like it was useful and it had been because like the people who would be in the sidewalk right before would all be sitting down. And so like you still had a really good view. So like the view was good, but I was like disappointed that had happened, and I didn't really get like the best use out of the party that we had wanted to.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected that either.
No. And there was another lady we were talking to who was next to us, and she had booked one during spring break and felt like it was great during spring break time for crowds and stuff, and that's why she had done it too. And so she was very disappointed that it happened. This was not her experience from before either.
Yep.
So then after fireworks, we decided to split up again. I went with my parents and brother and my younger son to get a spot for the parade. We were going to do the second parade. And then my husband took my older son over to Space Mountain to do that because we were kind of running out of time and wanted to make sure they got that in. So I was trying to get a spot like on Main Street where we could see the castle. But I think like with people leaving from the fireworks and stuff, we just didn't get there in time. So ended up going over by the train station, which actually ended up working really nicely because then we were like right by the exit afterwards. And there weren't a lot of, we got to see like, it was right after like they make a turn right around. So we got to see the floats for a long period of time. And there weren't a lot of kids in our area. So the characters, like as they were coming by, were spending a lot of time and like really interacting with our boys, which was really nice.
And did Powerline Max come down there?
He did not come down that area. No.
Okay.
No. So I don't know if he had stopped like right before that. Yeah. So
yeah, you guys are fans. So
we were fans. We were fans of Max. Yes. So that would have been fun. But so it worked out well though, because like I said, as soon as the parade ended at 11:45, the party was going to end at midnight. It's not worth us trying to fight this traffic going back out. So we just walked right out. We got on a boat to the Grand Floridian. We left at 11:45 and we were back at the Grand Floridian at 11:53. So that was for sure the plus of being there.
Mm-hmm.
So of the priorities, I think we got most of the things in. We didn't get to do People Mover on that, and we didn't get to see the Winnie the Pooh characters in their Christmas attire, but we had gotten everything else done that we wanted to. So I would say like that party was definitely a success.
And did your youngest son stay awake?
Oh, no, sorry. He fell asleep after the fireworks.
He did.
Yeah. Which honestly, I think it was okay. So as I said before, like he loves characters. But when we had done the cavalcade like earlier in the week, he kept trying to run out to them. He's, I want to get my picture. So like I think it actually probably would have been hard for him, like seeing all these characters come by. They would have interacted a little bit, but he couldn't have gone up and like actually done anything with them.
Yeah. Because they have more interactive elements than like Festival of Fantasy.
Yes. Yeah.
They are very approachable.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that was it.
So it's good. Yeah.
That was the end of that. And you got most of what you wanted done.
Got most of what we wanted done.
And an easy commute back to the Grand Floridian.
Yes.
Okay. So you had one more full day.
One more full day. And then this is where we were transferring again over to the Dolphin.
Mm-hmm.
So we had checked, and you had checked, and they said still some differing information online about whether or not they would transfer bags, but we thought they probably would. And I had asked at the Bell Services the day before if they would take bags to the Dolphin, and they said yes, not a problem at all. So because it was a late night the night before, again, we were not planning on doing early entry, and we're just kind of planning on taking this day slower as well. So our first Lightning Lane, we had pre-booked a 9:00 Remy's, but when my parents were getting their Lightning Lanes, I couldn't get theirs as early, so they got it in the afternoon, and I just ended up modifying our Lightning Lanes to be down with them in the afternoon. So it changed it to about 2:10 for those Lightning Lanes. And so our earliest Lightning Lane was going to be for 9:45 Spaceship Earth. And so we were planning to get there like around 10 or 10:15, so the later end of that. So we got up a little bit later, like 8:00, packed up all of our stuff. We called for Bell Services at 9:15. They came at 9:45. And my brother took my older son to the arcade there because that's all he wanted to do. Wanted to do the arcade at the Grand Floridian before we left. We got on the monorail at 10:15 and got into Epcot at 10:40 and went right to Spaceship Earth. And at this point, again, it was like pretty busy. The posted wait was a 35-minute wait for Spaceship Earth. So again, I feel like that's kind of a long time for that. But we got right on with our Lightning Lane. When we tapped into that, I booked Soarin' for half the group and then booked Figment Lightning Lane for my younger son and my husband. And while we were on that ride, my brother had left his sunglasses and hat on the ride. And so I was like, just go talk to them. I think you're going to have to get this from guest services and fill out a report. But they actually went back on the ride and went in and got it for him. So I was surprised that they did that. So that was good. After that, we walked over to use our Guardians of the Galaxy Lightning Lane. But the ride was actually down. We had never gotten a push alert in the app or anything. So they just told us, like, we're not sure when it's come back up, but whenever it does, if it does, you can use it at any point until 9:30 tonight. So if it does, that doesn't sound very good. So I was not optimistic that we were going to get on that ride again. So as we were walking off of there, we were deciding to go over to the Moana walkthrough, and we walked by a DVC tent. And I was like, I'm just curious if they're like renting point or if they're selling points for the Polynesian, because we don't have DVC, but we had talked about if we could ever get Polynesian, that would be something we would consider doing. And so I went and was talking to the workers there, and they're like, oh, yes, we do have Polynesian, and you can come see it at 3:00. And I was like, no, that's not going to work. Like, we have all of our Lightning Lanes and stuff. He said, why don't I switch around your Lightning Lanes? And why don't I do this? And we could take you over to Saratoga. And you could say, and so my mom came over. She said, oh, yeah, I would go see the room set up. And so we decided to book a DVC tour, which was like not at all on our plan. And we had a 5 o'clock candlelight processional dining package. And so I was like, are you sure you can get us back here at 5? And they're like, absolutely. We'll get you back at 4:30. I was like, I don't know if I trust that's happening or not. So we checked into our Le Cellier lunch. We had the 12:40 reservation and the 12:45 reservation. Oh, sorry. Before that, we picked up scavenger hunt cards and started doing some of those as we were walking around the countries. And we did not check in through the app. We went in and checked in person because we wanted to see if they can combine our parties. And they were able to. And when they were done, I said, is there also any way, if you can't, it's okay, but is there any way that we can maybe change our candlelight processional tickets from the 5 o'clock show to the 6:45 show? And our waitress was like, let me just check. She's like, I think we probably can do that. And she came back 5 minutes later and said, yeah, that's not a problem at all. So I was glad we were able to do that just to kind of get us a little bit of a buffer for that. Lunch was great. I thought this lunch was like one of our better meals that we had the whole trip. The food was really good. The service was great. The wine was good. I thought it was a very nice use of our time. And so then after that, we went over to Remy's since we were right there in Canada. We walked over to France and tapped in for our Remy Lightning Lane. We tapped in at 2:45. It was a posted 55-minute wait. Got on and off within 10 minutes. And then we walked back over to the DVC stand because they were going to take us in a van over to Saratoga Springs where they have some setup there for the different rooms. They had a setup for the Riviera and a setup for the Polynesian. So it was not on our radar that was what we were going to do, but we ended up spending about an hour and 45 minutes total between travel time and the presentation and seeing the rooms and everything. And it was really good. We decided not to do anything that day. We were going to think about it and get back to us. But our sales associate was really nice and was not pushy. And the rooms are beautiful. They're absolutely gorgeous for the Polynesian when in the tower when that opens. It's going to be really, really nice.
We are going to have an upcoming episode on DVC owners.
Oh, okay.
And why they like it, what made them decide to do it, et cetera. Because I'm not a DVC owner either. I've done the presentation, but I am curious for the people that like it.
Yeah.
How and why.
Yeah. So like I said, we decided not to do anything that day. We were like going to talk everything through and kind of figure out what we decided we wanted to do. But we got back to Epcot at 5:15. So I was very glad that I had not trusted them that we'd get back on time and that I had changed the candlelight processional package. So my husband, son, and my dad went to do Figment. And then they were going to go walk over and get in line for the dining package. The rest of us went over to Soarin' to do our Lightning Lane for that. And again, it was just taking so long to get in. And I was like, I realized I had everybody's ticket with me. So I was like, my husband, brother, and dad aren't even going to be able to get in if I don't have that. So I ended up actually getting out of line and walking over to meet them. And I'm glad I did because it just took my mom and brother and son so long to get back over to get through Soarin' and get off and get into the candlelight processional. They got in there right at 6:45, right as the show was starting. Wow. So I was glad I had left early and was able to get the rest of us in and get seats. There were a lot of seats available for the dining package. There was a lot of room around us. And I saw some people standing like as a standby, but it didn't seem like as busy. I saw your videos on Instagram. Like it was definitely not as busy as your show was.
Yeah. Ours is great. But once we got in, it's totally fine.
Yeah. So we had our narrator was Nico Santos. He did a really nice job. The show was great. It ended around 7:30. And we had been watching Guardians all day and it had not come back up. But while the show all day.
That changes everything about Epcot. It changes
everything for Epcot. I agree. But I had thought like maybe it was going to come back up earlier because I had gotten an alert like when I had checked in, like when we were back in the park and we were waiting for Soarin', I had gotten an alert to do a virtual queue for the 6 o'clock drop for Guardians. So I was like, well, maybe it's back up now, but it wasn't. So at that point.
Also, extended evening theme park hours that night.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it was back up at 7:30. It had opened back up like while the show was going on. So at that time, my parents took my son out and they were walking around the World Showcase for a little while. And then he just started saying he wanted to ride the Skyliner. So they took him out of Epcot and had him go ride the Skyliner a couple of times. We walked over to Guardians of the Galaxy. So the virtual queue groups that they were calling, they had only gone up to group 20. So that was the group that they were calling. And
that would normally be the second or third hour.
I know.
Oh
I know. Gosh. And the virtual queue was actually, I think, because no one had even waited around for it at that point. So like people who were going through the virtual queue were just going all the way through. The lightning lane line was just so backed up from everybody for the whole day trying to go through. So it took us about an hour to go through it. And even with that, like they only had half of the ride running. So like only one track was going. But I don't know what was going on the other side, because at one point, like while we were waiting in line, like right as you're going down to the roller coasters, they closed off the side that had been running and opened up the other side. So then they were just doing half the ride, but on the other side. So it really like didn't make a whole lot of sense as to what was going on.
Weird.
We got on the ride and we were in the coaster and we're right at like where they have the jump point, and we're sitting there stopped before you're about to go off. And I don't know if the ride like broke down again or if they were having some technical issues, but we sat there for 5 or 6 minutes, like just waiting for it to happen. So when it took off, like we had no warning. So like that was pretty cool, but we were just sitting, like no one knew what was going on.
And they didn't announce it.
They didn't announce anything. No. We were all just sitting there. So, but that ride was fun. I didn't feel like it was like, this might just be my imagination, but I didn't feel like it was going as fast as like it normally does. It just seemed like the ride was running a little bit slower. I don't know. Again, could have just been my imagination. We got September for that time and got off that ride at 8:45. So we had talked about it and no one really felt like at this point like they wanted to stay for extended evening hours. Like it was just, had been a long week and we got through like mostly everything that we had wanted to do anyway. So my mom was already out of the park with my son. They were on the Skyliner going back and forth, and he was living his best life doing that. So we walked through, my husband, brother, and son and I walked through. We saw the gingerbread spaceship Earth and saw that go off, and that was really cute. And then walked back through International Gateway. We watched the fireworks as we were walking out. We didn't stop to watch them here, but just kind of watched them as we were going. Left International Gateway at 9:15 and took the boat over to the Dolphin. Went and checked in there and went over to Bell Services. They had our bags and brought them right up. So they were brought up to our room by 10:15. And then we just kind of really just crashed and unpacked the one bag that we needed for that day and got there. And so even with all that, our step count for that day was 22,000 and had done 8.5 miles. So even with not like having a full day and leaving for a period of time was still a lot of walking for that park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so your stay at the Dolphin was really just to sleep.
It was just to sleep. Yeah.
That's it.
It was just to sleep. And really, and again, we had done that because the flights were outrageously expensive on Monday and were like a quarter of the price on the Tuesday. So it worked out okay. But yes, we were pretty much just there at the Dolphin to sleep.
We do sometimes recommend people look at Tuesday to Tuesday because most people do Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah. But Tuesdays usually cheaper.
Yeah. Okay. It worked out.
So you're being picked up the next morning.
Yeah. So we were being picked up. Our transportation was to pick us up at 8:30. And they got there right at 8:30, helped us pack up our bags and everything. And that was just myself, my husband, and my 2 sons were leaving at that time. My parents weren't able to get on the same flight, so they were leaving a little bit later. So we left right then, got to the airport at 9, took about 35 minutes to get our bags checked in. We had an 11:10 flight, so it was not a problem. We had plenty of time for that. And then we got in at 1:35. And after getting all of our bags and everything, we were back at our house at 3. So not a problem at all. My parents were taking a 3:15 flight. They got in at 5:40 and we're back to their house by about 6:30. So it was a good final, just a travel day, but nothing crazy happened. So it's always good.
Yes. Uneventful, which is good around this time where things can be
where things
busy.
Can go wrong. Yeah.
Yes. Well, weather and crowds can be a big factor with flights.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So a few rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
How did you feel about your airport transportation, which was called VIP Luxury?
It was VIP Luxury Transportation. Love them. We've used them in the past. Would absolutely do it again. I think it's especially when you're comparing the price of the bus transportation and things for round trip transportation, including tip, was $270. So not like when you're paying for individual bus tickets and stuff, like it wasn't that much more than that. And they help you with bags and they will make a stop for you too if you want to do that. So I would absolutely recommend them again.
Staying at the Boardwalk?
100%. Yes. We love the Boardwalk area. Love that hotel. I'm going to definitely stay there again during the Christmas time.
And there you had a 1-bedroom villa. What did you have at the Grand Floridian?
A studio.
Okay. So let's move to your Grand Floridian studio.
Yeah. Grand Floridian Studio would definitely do it again. Would stay in a studio again. The studio was fine. It was a little bit of a letdown after being in a 1-bedroom, but it was like still plenty of space and would definitely do it again. Would not do it during Christmas. And I was just so disappointed. Like that was like I just thought like in my mind, like the idyllic thing to do during the Christmas time, but I would not do it again this time of year.
100% agree. I've made that same mistake. The Dolphin.
We've done that before. I think it's really nice and easy to stay for using Marriott points and doing that. The location's good. I mean, it's not as Disney themed, but like for what you get and where you're at and the price of it compared to others, yes, absolutely, we do it again.
What about split stays in general?
We talked about that. I think we've done them before. I would probably do it again. But like them losing one of our bags, and even though it was only an hour and just some of the uncertainty, I don't think I would do it for every trip.
What about traveling over Thanksgiving time period?
Yeah, I would do it again. I think it was fun to do. It was fun. It was a good time as far as timing for school and seeing a lot of the holiday decorations and getting a lot of things in. But I think just having the expectation that it was really crowded. I think if it was my first trip going or like the only trip I would do for a couple of years, I don't know if I would go during that time of year because I think it's just too crowded to get things done. And I consider myself like pretty good with lightning lanes and like pretty experienced with things. And like I was not able to do nearly as much as I've done on other trips with doing things. And so I don't think for a first time, I don't think it's a great time to go.
Yeah. I think people that know what they're doing will probably manage just like you did.
Yeah.
Premier Pass.
Yeah, I think because of the time of year that it was and for the day that it was and for really wanting my brother to get to go on all the rides in Hollywood Studios, it was worth it for those reasons. Especially when I saw like the 3+ hour wait for Rise of the Resistance and was not able to have even purchased him a lightning lane 7 days out if I had wanted to for it. I was glad for that. Again, I would say if it was not a holiday weekend and if you had been a lot of times and didn't need to go on everything, I don't know if I would do it again in those circumstances. But I think like for the perfect storm of what we did, I think it was worth it. I also don't think though we got like all the benefit of it because some of our party wasn't using it.
Yeah. And like you had some lack of availability for lightning lanes. So it feels like Premier Pass has that where they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I almost wonder if, I don't know, like I said before, I don't know if Disney was like limiting the number that they were putting out because the Premier Passes had sold out. And so they didn't want people who bought those and spent all that money to not get on those rides quickly. I don't know. But it just seemed like there was more limited availability to lightning lanes in general.
Jollywood Nights?
I would do it again. I would do it again for the dance party alone. Honestly, that in and of itself was worth its price of admission.
I know that sounds crazy to people listening who haven't done it. I totally agree.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was so fun. It's such an underrated thing that I did not anticipate enjoying at all.
Yeah, a time filler that turned into a main event for us. The Christmas party.
Definitely do it again. Yeah, I thought it was great.
And would you do both with kids? Little ones who may not make it till midnight?
Yeah. Christmas party, yes. Because my older son did stay up for the entire thing and my younger son stayed up for most of it. So yes. Jollywood Nights, I think so. Although I would do it with kids again because like they had such a good time, but I would like to do it with just adults too to do some of the other things.
Yeah, because I guess the things that you didn't do would have been things that required a bit more of a wait or they were more adult focused.
Right.
Okay. Do you have any future trips already booked?
Yeah. So we are actually planning on doing a Disney cruise in April, and this is going to be our first Disney cruise. So I'm excited for that. I think with our boys liking characters and doing all, I think it's going to be really fun. We're just doing a 4-night cruise to try it out, and it's just stopping at the 2 Disney islands, but I'm excited for that. I think it's going to be good. And we're going to do just a couple of days at Disney before the cruise starts.
Okay. That'll be fun.
It'll be fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, Sarah, I appreciate it. You had a lot of logistics to manage, including the notes for this, and you kept very good ones. So
well, thank
you so much.
No, thank you for giving me this opportunity. It was really fun, and I think it's like a good way to commemorate this trip. So I was excited to do it. So thank you.
I hope you enjoyed my chats with Sara. She was a complete delight, and hopefully this is good information, especially if you plan on traveling during a busy time, some reassurance that you can definitely do it. If you would like to be a Trip Report guest like Sara, please use the SpeakPipe information in the show notes of every episode. Leave a voicemail for us, and if it works out with our schedule, a member of my team will reach out to you to get you scheduled for your pre- and post-trip interviews. We did continue talking for Patreon in the after chat. So if you'd like to hear that, it is up in video and audio form right now on Patreon. I think that'll wrap up this episode of WDW Prep to Go. For more information, please check the show notes in your podcast app or head to the website, wdwprepschool.com. Click on podcast at the top, scroll down to episode 440. And until next time, I will see you on the site.